And we are live.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Those of you who have decided to join us, thank you. I'm
We
Belle.
appreciate it.
This
I'm
is Paco.
Paco.
And we will be talking about Under the Whispering Door, which I'm sure you guessed already based on the title of this video. So, welcome to the talk. So, I have some general, some of these things are specific questions, and then some of them are kind of just general thoughts, and the conversation can kind of go wherever it goes. But we'll start with a very easy question, which is just, who was your favorite character?
Ooh. I related and felt connected to May.
May? Okay.
I love
Okay.
May, especially I'm assuming we've all read the book because I was going to go into spoiler territory.
Yeah, this is not going to be a spoiler-free live.
So,
We're gonna do all the spoilers.
especially how May was with her knives. And how ready she was to attack somebody. May, one of my favorite scenes is when they're Deavora or whatever, when they're scaring the shit out of Deavora or whatever, and they cut to May in the kitchen going like this is phenomenal. He was my favorite.
I love that. I could definitely, that makes sense. That would be your favorite character. I definitely see that. That makes complete sense. I think that my favorite character is probably Nelson, because Nelson, he was just funny. Everything that he said was funny. And I'm just that person where I am just naturally attracted to the funny person in the room. Yeah. So he instantly drew me in. Wallace was funny in the very beginning. He was funny because he was a dick. So it was just crazy hearing these things come out of this man. I'm just like, is this man serious? But it was funny because it's I can't believe he's saying this, but he's really saying it. He's saying the quiet part out loud. Mm-hmm. So I like that. But Nelson really, for me, stole the show.
I feel Nelson carried the humor.
I completely agree. Hey, Audrey. I know Audrey read it. She actually did a reread of it. Hugo came across as such a hopeless romance. Yes, I agree. Also, hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Hello. Hey, Kiana.
Hey.
The grandfather made me laugh. Hugo was reason and sweet. Yeah. I agree with this. The grandfather, Nelson, he definitely, like Paco said, he carried the humor. Anytime he was around, I was waiting for something funny to be said or to happen because I knew that he was going to bring it. May was funny too. May had her moments where she was also funny, but I feel Nelson carried.
Yeah, Nelson carried it. And I think also Nelson was my type of humor where he's calling out what the fuck's happening kind of person. That's just very much what are we doing here? I feel Nelson's the kind of person where you're in a situation with somebody or something crazy shit's happening. All you just gotta do is look at that person. You know that person.
I loved him. Nelson was hilarious when he had Wallace. Oh my, yes, I was gonna talk about that later, but yes, that was definitely one of my favorite parts. Absolutely love that. I thought that was hilarious because I didn't see that coming when he was telling him what to do. I was like, wow, this is really stupid. And then when it came out that yeah, it was just to make him look stupid, I was like, wow. Literally, that's crazy. Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
The cartoon characters on the Google search for the book were fantastic. They made Nelson even funnier. I have not seen those. I'm gonna go.
I looked up fan art, but I don't think I saw what they're referring to.
Let me see. Under the Whispering Door. See what I can find. Okay, yeah, these are funny. With the pink bunny slippers, oh my gosh. It won't get clear. I can it's very pixelated. I was gonna try to show you guys, but it's so pixelated it's not even worth showing. See if I can find another clearer image of this.
If you want, just put it in the Discord and people who are there could look
at it. Yeah, I can do that. If you guys are not part of the Discord, feel free to join. I think the link should be in the description. I think.
If not, we'll go to one of our other videos.
Yeah, it's in all of my videos. Let's see. Under the Whispering Door. Yeah, that picture is funny. And I like that image of Hugo as well.
Okay.
May cracked me up with the medium. Yes, the
Yeah,
medium. That was a whole. That
she
was a
was
whole ordeal.
wild. The
She
things
was
that
annoying. I couldn't stand her. I'm just like,
I
can this
listened,
lady just leave?
yeah, I listened to she was wild. The things that she was saying, I was like, we're really just saying this. Like when she was trying to flirt or whatever, I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Her and
Mm-hmm.
the way that people were flirting in this book, I was like, wow.
Because what's the other guy? The other guy that was flirting with
The
Hugo, like the
inspector.
exterminate. Yeah, the inspector. That's what it was. I was like, dude, please have a
I was
seat.
like, this is a job. You're on the clock.
I'm like, somebody come get this guy. Yes, his bunny slippers. Hey, Asma, how are you? Let's see. So in
It isn't
contrast,
my
huh?
nemesis asthma. I said it isn't my nemesis asthma.
In contrast to your favorite character, who was your least favorite character?
I don't think I had a least favorite character. Like, there's no one in this book that like actively irritated me. Like, I mean, of course, Desdemona was but that was her purpose. If that makes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sense. Like, and even the health inspector and the guy that gets the other ghost they deal with,
Oh,
like,
Alan.
it was their purpose to be irritating
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
things. Maybe the Grim Reaper, the other Reaper, like, May's like the person before her,
Mm-hmm.
but or I guess maybe the little brat god thing.
Oh, the manager.
The manager could catch these hands because of
I
like
feel like a lot of people would say that the manager is their least favorite character. I know this is controversial, but I liked the manager. I actually liked him. There was a point where he got on my nerves, and I felt like he needed to get popped in the mouth a couple of times. But
exactly.
overall, I liked him.
Like I get his purpose too. Like he had a purpose. He
Yeah.
was like an antagonistic force in this book,
Mm-hmm.
and like you needed it. But like just like little boy, you still the form of a child.
Yeah, there's a question about him later, so we'll definitely dig into that as we keep going. She was wild, and I love when they mess with her, cracking me. Oh, the medium lady, Desdemona. What
Mm-hmm.
was her name? Desdemona or something?
Desdemona. You know, I was
Yeah.
legit one of the parts. So it was the book was funny, and I didn't laugh out loud at a lot of it. But
Mm.
I think one of the part I actively laughed out loud was like them trying to do the Ouija board, like
He said
demons.
something like, "I'm gonna eat your diver."
Yeah, no, I mean, no. My favorite part was legit autocorrect, stupid autocorrect. That part did have me like actively cackling at work.
Yeah, that part was funny. Nobody could read the room. Hugo was not interested, right? Everybody, but apparently Hugo must be like fine as hell because
Yeah,
everybody wanted a piece of that. He was
the
pulling.
old
Okay,
ladies, the
he
old
was
ladies.
pulling.
Yeah,
I don't think I dislike any of them. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that I dislike because I feel like the characters that I disliked, like Paco said, either that was their purpose was to not be likable, or they were such like small characters in the grand scheme of things that didn't really matter
mm-hmm.
that much. Like Desdemona was a character that I could have done without, but again, her role was so insignificant that it's like I could go either way. Like
Yeah.
I don't care enough to dislike her. Wallace in the beginning irritated me, but towards the end he grew on me. See, I liked him in the beginning because I thought he was funny. There were a lot of the moments where I was laughing was in the beginning, like that whole intro where he's like talking to the lady and
Oh
like
yeah.
firing her. That was so funny to me. It was sad for the lady, but like his reaction to stuff was so funny. Like when they were talking about flowers, he was like, "Flowers are so pointless. All they do is die. Like you got to take care of them and then they die. Like we should just get rid of flowers." Like that was so funny. That
I
is very relatable.
I think my favorite part in the beginning about Wallace is like at his funeral when he's like talking about his ex-wife and he's like she cheated on him and he's like I don't know who I'm more jealous of, like my wife cheating or who the fact that she got to sleep with the guard. Like, that part I was like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even though it was funny, yeah. Okay, so Kiana would say probably the manager. Yeah. I kind of figured that that's what most people probably would say. Yeah, everyone served a purpose. I agree. Which is, I think that that's an interesting thing. Like, I think that that should be the case with all books, but I feel like there are books that have characters in
yeah.
them that really don't need to be there. They don't like serve a purpose. It wasn't funny, but it did make me smile a lot of the time. Right. Everyone and their mama. Yes. I'm like,
right?
okay. He must look good because
Well, the
everybody
book,
wanted that.
it's still like that, and then how sexual the book got real quick for a second there just took me out. Like when we're like, oh, we're doing this, okay. Like we didn't get any scene, but just like even that, I'm like, I was not like not the vibe.
Uh-huh.
It kind of took me out of the book for a minute.
Uh-huh. Hugo was pulling. That's what I'm saying. He was pulling everything. Everybody wanted a piece of that. Nelson was the favorite. Okay. Hugo was the least favorite. Okay. The medium could. Oh no, the favorite was Nelson and Hugo. The least favorite was the medium. Yeah, I could agree with that.
See, I couldn't say I disliked her because, like I said, my favorite scene revolved around her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True, MC irritated me, and I never grew to love him. Unfortunately, least favorite character. The side characters shined in this one. Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I agree with the flowers. Yeah, I agree with that too. That's why I thought it was funny. There's another part. So, the next question that I have is which character do you most relate to and why? And like that gets into like that intro scene where he's like talking to the lady because another thing that he brings up besides the flower thing was he was talking about like children, and I don't have kids. I'm not sure whether or not I want them or not. I'm fine with not having them right now, and like the stuff that he was saying, like, oh, like they just get in the way and then you have to call out of work sick because they're sick. And I'm just like, I feel that. I'm not a parent, but I feel that. Like some of the stuff he was saying was like a little bit too real. I'm like, why is he in my head? Like, get out of here, sir. Why is he saying what I've been thinking? Like, get out of here. I say it too, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, when guys buy you or whatever buys you flowers, I'm like, that's a chore because now I have to like cut the ends off and like water them and then change. Like, you basically gave me a job. I want something that I can just enjoy, not something that I have to take care of. So don't buy me flowers. Buy me food. I'll enjoy that. Don't buy me flowers.
I wouldn't mind flowers or food.
They're cute, but I just don't feel like taking care of them. And then when they die, it's like ends up being a waste. And flowers are expensive, so it's like to spend that kind of money on something that's going to be dead in a week. I don't have a green thumb, so I will not be keeping flowers alive for more than a week. So it just ends up being a big waste of money when that money could have gone to like a nice dinner. Right? See? Wallace was definitely my favorite. The entire reason I read the book after that first chapter. Nelson irritated me in the beginning, but he grew on me. Okay.
Okay. See, like I said, me and Asma
always polar opposites.
Nemesis.
My sister's been forcing me to try as many teas, so I like that they kept saying everyone had a tea. That is interesting. I did think that was interesting. How they, yeah, like how like when you die or whatever, there's like a special tea that he like curates for you or whatever, and it's like related to like your life or your personality or whatever. Like I was curious about that. Like I wonder what tea would be made for me. Like I don't know.
What kind of tea? What's your tea flavor choice?
Yeah.
Like for me, just because I am not a tea girly. The only tea I've really ever really liked is this pomegranate tea I have. Pomegranate boba tea I've had when we went to Y'all West. I had it both times, and it's like my favorite.
Nice. See, I don't even know. There's some kind of like passion fruit tea that I think is made by like Tezo. It's been so long since I've had it, but like that's the first thing that comes to mind because that was my go-to at one point. But like you said, like I'm also not a big tea person, so I will be curious like what Hugo would make for me. I love the bi vibes. Yes, agreed.
I love how jealous Wallace got. Maybe it's a toxic trait. I love in a book when the character they're not together yet, but they get jealous or whatever. Like I'm like, oh, I love this shit up. Like
even when Alan came, Alan had no interest in Hugo, but Wallace was still like, "You're taking up my airspace. You're taking up my time with Hugo." Like, boy, relax. He's not trying to push up on your man. Calm down. I related to May and Nelson, how I get annoyed by people and no nonsense. I relate to Hugo as in I have a soft heart and want to be fair to everyone. Wallace for the heartache. Nice. That's a great answer.
Like I said earlier, I related to May a lot, especially like how deeply May cared about the people she cares about. Because like to her, I'm the same way. As like you could hurt me and it's all right, but you hurt someone I call a friend or I care about, then I'm pulling the knives out. And
that's why, like, once you said that, I was like, yeah, that tracks. That makes sense. And yearning and trying to figure things out. I'm also pansexual, so I can relate on the bi thing. Nice. Very nice. I think Hugo was relatable because of his love for tea, but Wallace was most relatable. Yeah, I agree. I think that Wallace, like, I wouldn't say that any of these characters were super relatable for me personally, but if I had to pick one, it probably would be Wallace. I don't think I actually related to a specific character, but I did relate to certain reflections that were brought up. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, that part. The jealousy was so real.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next question. What was the most surprising moment to you? And this is a question that I don't feel like I have a really good answer to. I think maybe the most surprising thing, and surprising is a strong word, but it's something that I didn't see coming until it was happening, like until we got to the end. But I did not expect Wallace to be, what's the word, resurrected. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that he was gonna stay dead. I
did
actually
too.
would have preferred for him to stay dead.
Oh damn.
I just think it would have been a better ending to the story. I don't know. I just don't feel like it was necessary for him to come back to life. I feel like the only benefit to him coming back to life is just the fact that now him and Hugo can like touch each other. But outside of that, everything could have been the same and he could have just stayed like dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't see that coming either. I thought he was either gonna like maybe stay a ghost and just be around like Nelson kind of. Or maybe like at the end of the book we get Hugo's death and Nelson in there, but that would have been sad. So I don't know. I like a tragic ending. So I don't want to say it was better, but I would have been okay with like you're dead, stay dead. Like
yeah, exactly. I just feel like it would, and I think too, it made their relationship more meaningful. At least to me, it made it more meaningful because they couldn't touch. So their entire relationship was like really pure and genuine and like based on like emotional and intellectual connection and not based on anything physical. But now that he's back to life, it's like, not saying that that would necessarily change, but it kind of like takes that away a little bit because it's like, why couldn't you have, like you said, stayed like Nelson and just been a ghost on the other side that just kind of hung out? Like you guys could have still been together, but like you don't have to be alive to be together. I feel like you guys went through so much while you were in your ghost state that it could have just stayed that way. I don't know. I just don't see a reason for him to need to be resurrected.
I think it also takes away kind of a message for the book is for him to come back to life. Yeah. I mean, I will say this book, I thought it was going to be more about grief, but it really didn't, to me, it didn't deal with grief as much as I thought it was. So, but I felt like it kind of took away a message with him coming back. Because, like, you can't come back from death.
Right. I agree.
I mean, I can. I'm joking. Like, I might.
Where did I leave off at? I think it was here. Wallace just came off realistic, but not in an annoying way. Yeah, I agree. I think that Wallace, especially in the beginning, he had a lot of thoughts that like the average person would have. Like I would say, like the average person probably shares a lot of the same sentiments that Wallace did. And I think that Wallace was very like, Wallace basically was that person that says what everybody's thinking, but nobody's willing to say out loud because if you say it out loud, it makes you look like a bad person. Wallace didn't care if he looked like a bad person. He was going to say it regardless. And that's kind of like what I liked about him. Cameron's life story. Okay, that was just the most surprising moment. Okay. And we'll get more into that later too. Yes, I don't think that was surprising. I kind of predicted, not the whole story, obviously, but like the way that he died, I knew very early on, like when we first met him. I don't remember what it was, but it was something that Hugo said when they first met Cameron and he was like out on the street or whatever, that first interaction that they had with him. It was something that Hugo said following that gave me the impression that he died in that way. But I don't remember what it was that Hugo said. I can't remember. That they got to stay connected. Okay, yeah. Don't think anything was surprising, but the resurrection was annoying. I was hoping it didn't go that way. Yes, I agree. I completely agree. I thought he would have to accept leaving them. Oh. See, I didn't think that he was going to have to leave. I thought that I thought that he was just going to stick around as a ghost.
I thought Nelson was going to take his place, kind of like.
Really?
I thought he was going to like sacrifice himself, kind of.
Oh.
Because
like that's the other thing. I knew that Nelson was gonna pass on.
Because they foreshadowed Nelson leaving. Like with his statement. And so I thought he was gonna like when he kind of stood up to pull him or whatever, I thought he was gonna be like, I'll go
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I didn't think the dog was gonna go. That part surprised me.
Yeah, that was surprising.
I'm like, not the dog.
That was kind of sad. I was like, oh no, Apollo, don't leave.
Also, real like backtrack to the guy, what's his name? The one that was flirting with Hugo, the inspector.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you say thank God the dog's gone?
Disrespectful. That's how you know that he's not the one.
Yeah, I was like, how you gonna talk about someone's dog? Like, yeah, your dog's dead. Like,
Crazy. But then it did, so I guess, yeah. Oh no, I knew he was going to have his happy ending. See, I thought it would be a happy ending, but he would just be still a ghost with his happy ending.
yeah, I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like it wouldn't have been cheesy if it wasn't a happy ending.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been more realistic
Yeah.
if he had stayed a ghost. Because like you said, like coming back from, you don't get a second chance. Well, I guess people do technically come back, but that's only if you've like been dead for like 2 minutes or something. They can maybe bring you back, and that's like not everybody is gets that luxury. But
Yeah.
he was dead for like months. Like there's no way you don't get. He's not coming back from that in real life. So the fact that he was just like, oh, you get a second chance, I'm just like, no, stay where you are.
I was like, we could do that, and like, he was dead. Like he's got no social security number now. Like,
he had to get a whole new identity and stuff. I'm like, not the witness protection program.
Not my. That's how I was when May pulled out like the identity. I'm like, not the way. How did she just pull this out? And it not being something that was provided by them. It was something that she got on her like connections. I was like, how May got this?
Exactly. No, I needed to touch Hugo. No, he did not need to touch Hugo. Ooh, when Cameron went through the door. I wasn't sad about that. I was actually really happy. And I knew that was going to happen.
When we saw Hugo and Cameron's past, that part got me.
Yeah. That was like a oof. I was just like, ew. Everything that he went through, that whole story.
Mm-hmm.
What I found surprising, I guess you could say, is that Hugo, who was supposed to be this anchored and composed, strong character, was also having struggles at sometimes, and he was vulnerable. Yeah, that is true too.
I wouldn't say surprising. I feel like that's very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one
but I'm glad that they like made a point to say it.
But to say surprising, I don't know. It just like it was made sense that he would have these struggles.
Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes it's one of those things that you don't really think about, mainly because it's not real. But like sometimes with like mythological creatures or like in fantasies and stuff like that, you don't think of like these special characters like a ferryman or a reaper having like regular human problems or emotions and stuff like that. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting that they kind of brought some humanity to this character that is kind of like this fantastical element being a ferryman or whatever. And there's a line in the book, I forget what chapter it's in, but there's a line where he says something like, just because I'm a ferryman doesn't mean that I'm not human. And I was like, oh, you right.
I like we're going over lines. It was said by the manager, but I like when the manager was like, why are you calling out Hugo's choices?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not think like Hugo can make his own choices or whatever? Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay, go. Read him.
Uh-oh. There we go. Enough to talk about it to Wallace, and I love that so much. Yeah. I like the way that they bonded. I feel like they weren't like... Go ahead.
I like the panic attack scene, if that makes sense. Like the sitting there making the sound. I thought that was really just like a sweet, tender moment.
Yeah, I really like that. And I like that they kind of like brought some attention onto like anxiety and stuff like that. Like having that little piece there, I thought was really nice. And again, one of those things that you don't think about, that like these types of jobs, it's like, oh, like you're magic and you can see both sides and you have these abilities and these powers, but it's like with Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, and it may not always be like fun. Like sometimes this stuff is like stressful or causes panic attacks, and I feel like people don't think about it from that perspective. So I thought it was interesting that this book kind of like pointed that out, like, hey, these magical creatures have problems too. Yeah, I agree, Paco. It did ruin the story ending, took away the point. Klune was trying to make about grief and learning to move on. Yeah. Because I feel like they didn't have to move on. Well, he didn't, specifically like Wallace didn't have to move on. Like he was like excused from it. And I'm like, is that the lesson? So if I die, If I like fall in love with the ferryman, I can just come back. Like
Yeah, like I mean,
lesson here.
you get to go to a room.
Right. I needed something somewhat happy towards the end. It reminded me of losses of my own, and of my own life, which made certain parts more sad or hard. Okay, I can understand that. Maybe with the book dealing with some of those heavier topics, some people reading may have needed that like uplifting moment where that unrealistic part where it's like, oh, you can come back and get a second chance and do everything over. Maybe that was something that some people like needed. Otherwise, it may have just been like too depressing to read. So I can understand that. Yes, Riley, I think that was the reason for the happy ending. Yeah, I agree. Don't get me started on the inspector. He was too much. Somebody needs to flag him for like sexual harassment. Moving on and letting go isn't a sad ending though. It's the circle of life, so that to me would have been a happy ending.
That
Yeah,
part,
I agree with that.
I'm
I
agreeing with
agree with
that
that. Yeah.
because like you're not, when you're going through grief and stuff, you don't get a redo.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose someone, you don't get to have them back. The you feeling better after grief isn't getting that person back. It's getting not you never get over it. Like that like so I don't know. I don't feel like it hits I feel like it would have been a much better ending if like he didn't come back to life. Honestly, I feel like if he it just went through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is something it's like life, you can't go back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with this right here. I could see it from the perspective of someone who maybe has gone through like traumatic grief and stuff like that and like needing that happy ending to get through it, like needing that like light at the tunnel or something. For
But
for me, I agree with this.
I don't agree with I agree with this. I don't agree with that because I feel like that's kind of making the reader that's kind of insulting. That you need that light at the end of the tunnel because that's not like it's a false light if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen and I'm like also I feel like if you are grieving this pain you're reading this book you're not going to get your person back.
True.
So like it's kind of like it
Like
does the
also,
opposite to me. Yeah, it does an opposite to me.
yeah. That's fair. It reminded me of it reminded me some of the book Midnight Library. Oh, I haven't read that. Both even had the person crossing people over or not was named Hugo. Oh, okay. I haven't read that book. It is for me losing someone who gets you. I could yeah. And it's a big part of your life. Finally losing them, then you feel like you lose a part of yourself, part of life in general. Very sad. Yeah, I can understand that. Hey Pat, how are you? This is why I love books and art, etc. It affects people differently and different perspectives on the same thing. It's great. Yeah, I agree. Fair enough, Riley. I do believe the book was for Klune more than us, the consumer, because he lost his fiance. Oh, I did not know that. Wow, I had no idea. I had no idea.
That's sad.
Not you coming for Pat.
Hasman, you're not on Pat's level. I'm sorry.
Yes, Paco, but I mean, the surprise was more a sense of I wasn't expecting the author to go that way, but I don't think I had an actual surprise reading this book.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I lost a partner as well, and maybe that's why I felt that part so much.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, now knowing that it changed, it doesn't like it change. It adds a different perspective. Because I don't want to say my opinion on it, but it does add that a different perspective.
Yeah.
And like I like what you said about art. That was Riley who said that about art. Like it's all like how you view it is all like is important.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Look at Asma.
I got all the tea. Yeah, I found out about it after I finished the book. Didn't change my rating, but fair enough. Asma was busy trying to get my mother off the phone, give me the Sunday lowdown. I feel like I wanted to be Nelson going around with the cane or something, smacking sensitive people. Agree. I would love to be Nelson. That was his character was just so much fun. And he was a realist too. Like, he kept it a book. Mood. Spiritually, some people who are on the border of dying. Some people believe in a purgatory where you may pass and cross over, or may go back. So I see both sides. I would like both endings, to be honest. Okay.
Okay.
I guess I'm feeling somewhat realistic on it because my entire dissertation is on prolonged grief and chronic grief disorder. Oh, I did not know that.
Look at you being smart.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would be interested in reading that. Thanks, Paco. You got my back, bro. Makes sense. So next question, not really question, it's more of like a topic. Hugo and May's past. So like we know that we get the backstory for May in terms of like how she got to where she is, how she has the ability to do what she does. It was something that she didn't like ask for. It just was like a natural thing that she was able to do. Whereas with Hugo, Hugo made a choice to be the ferryman. And I feel like we get the backstory about his family, like his parents and what happened with that. But I don't feel like we ever got, or it was ever explicitly stated. They make a point to tell you on multiple occasions throughout the book that Hugo made a choice. This was a choice. He wasn't forced to do this. He volunteered, whatever. But it's like the question that I still don't have an answer to is like, why? Like, what pushed you to want to be able to do this? Because it's not like you were able to like say like the way that he was able to hang out with Nelson. It's not like he could hang out with his parents. So it's like, what was his reason for wanting to do this? And I don't feel like I ever got that answer.
I think it was the helping people part, and I think it was him I think he said like he wanted to know more. That like he didn't know he wasn't going to see his parents until after he accepted, because he said that once he accepted that his parents had already moved on.
Okay. See, I didn't put all that together. But what do you guys think about the past that we got for both of these characters?
I thought May's was really interesting, especially like May being a child of an immigrant and like talking about like having her mom wanting her to be American, and like that's a struggle I feel like a lot of people of color, especially like when you come from like immigrate like the like you're trying to assimilate for safety, kind of like when your generations above you are trying to not force you to assimilate, but it's not like oh, we want to be white, but it's like we want you to be safer, we want you to have better options. But I like that talk on it, or just showing that on how it could also be toxic for the person too. It was toxic for me.
And I feel like she talked about like not feeling like she could talk to her mom about like what she was experiencing when she started seeing people like on the other side or whatever. I feel like she mentioned the fact that like it wasn't something that she could like go to her mom, or she didn't feel comfortable going to her mom and like being like, hey, like I'm seeing dead people, which I thought was interesting. That it's like that's something that's like a major thing. Like imagine if you just started seeing like dead people that nobody else could see. You would want to have somebody that you could like talk to or go to or confide in. And the fact that she didn't have that, that is a really wild struggle to have to deal with. Where did I leave off at? Interesting brainy asthma, yeah. That didn't bother me at all. I feel like it was kind of a calling. Ask me why I teach. I can't answer that. Conditions are shit. That's not the reason. Sometimes we don't fully understand ourselves. That's true. I agree. There wasn't enough of a backstory to Hugo, probably why there was less of a connection to Hugo compared to Wallace, where we learned a lot about him and his personality and character. Yes.
That just comes with him being the main character.
Right, exactly.
Character, where since he's our POV character, we're learning about everybody as Wallace does.
But yeah, I agree that I didn't feel as much of a connection to Hugo as I would have liked to. Especially like for a long time, I didn't feel connected to him really at all. And then we finally got the backstory about like what happened to his parents and stuff. And I was like, okay, but I guess part of me wanted to get more of his, like I wanted to get more inside his brain and understand him more about what, I don't know, like what he was feeling or what he was thinking, or like I say, what went into his decision to say yes when this job offer, was proposed to him. I would have liked to have seen, like, if we could have got like a flashback to that moment where him and the manager are having this conversation. The manager's like, hey, do you want this job? And he's like, yeah. I would have liked to have gotten more into that story and learned more about what went into his decision to say yes to that. because that's a big commitment to ferry people over to the other side. Why we do the things we do, and I did not mind reading the exact why from Hugo. Yeah, I feel like it didn't necessarily get in the way overall of the story, but it's one of those things that once I finished the book, I was thinking about, and I was like, we never got an answer to this question. Like, I still don't know why. Like, I felt like there was something missing when I got to the end. I was like, I feel like I want this. That is a reason I didn't consider Audrey. Yeah. Hugo had such a sensitive heart and was so fair. I think maybe what he went through, he wanted to help others, and we're dealing with that. We're dealing with that. I don't know. It's interesting how they got there. Yeah, I agree. I just thought it was interesting that we got like a full explicit backstory for May, but then the story that we got for Hugo was a little more like abstract or like vague, where it's like, you know, that there was something, but we didn't get the details of it. And I just wonder, like, from the author's perspective, what went into his decision to decide to give us this full backstory on one character and then not give it to us for the other. I'm just, it's just something that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wallace's character arc. So that's like the short version of the question. I wrote it on my phone, but it would have taken up way too much space on here if I wrote it all out. What did you think about Wallace in the beginning? And did your opinion change of him? And if so, when did your opinion, like what happened, what part of the book did you decide to change your thoughts on Wallace's character?
That's a good question. I liked his character arc. I didn't dislike him in the beginning because, like, yeah, he was an asshole, but I knew what this book was. So, because, like, I knew, like, you have to get from point A. You have to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hate him, so I didn't like have a big revolution on him or like aha. I mean, I liked it when he like was like, "Nah, I'm gonna start messing with shit." I like that.
Okay. I think that I liked him from the beginning, but I knew that he wasn't meant to be likable, if that makes sense. I liked him. So I think the moment where I saw his character go from being the unlikable character to being a more likable character was probably when Alan came. I definitely saw like a shift in Wallace's character when Alan came and was like freaking out or whatever. It seemed like Wallace was like trying to be like selfless, which is very unlike Wallace, trying to be like selfless and like help Alan and like guide him through, this difficult time, being like, I've been through this, like I can help you, da da da. And I feel like that was very out of Wallace's normal, like alive version of his personality. I was like, okay, look at him being kind and selfless and trying to help others. Like, who is this man? We don't know him.
Like when he was telling Alan, like, leave her the fuck alone. Like,
he was like standing up for Nancy. Yeah. I don't know. Something about Alan coming into the picture just really changed Wallace. At least that's my opinion of it. Agree they kept him more mysterious. Yeah. For Hugo, yeah. My internet decided to leave. We're glad you're back. I always liked Wallace. I did not like him, but his blunt dickness made me laugh, and I was loving it. I liked seeing his backstory develop and his heart melt. I grew to like him more over time. When he was trying to boo all night, that was so funny. Yeah.
I going to May's room and like bothering May was fun.
That was funny. I highlighted that because it said something like he was trying to make all the like ghost sounds that he knew of from like movies. And I'm just like, it's funny because obviously as someone, I can only speak for myself, but I can't see ghosts. So I don't know what kind of sounds real ghosts, if they even exist, like what kind of sounds they make. So the fact that he's like taking what he's seen on like cartoons and movies and he's like, whoa, and it's like, I wonder if real ghosts are looking at him like, shut the fuck up, like sit down.
I mean, Wilson was looking at him like that, like
like that's not what we do, sit down. I liked him a lot from the very beginning. I probably mentioned it a lot of times in Discord how much I adored him. I think I began to love him when he ended up in a bikini.
Oh, yeah, the bikini part was fun.
Yeah, that was crazy. And he said it was him and Nelson talking, And he says something like, "So what do we do?" And Nelson was like, "I guess we rock the head out of a bikini."
Yeah. I like the way Nelson was kind of low-key flirting with Wallace at one point. He was all like,
Sometimes it did seem
okay,
like that.
Nelson.
I missed the villain a little, but I knew something had to happen. I agree with that. I agree with that. That part was so funny, Kiana. I would do the same if I were dead and stuck somewhere. I agree, Nell. There was a shift in his character. I love how all the challenges there made them bond hard. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Laughs at bikini. Remembering more now while Wallace went through it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happened in this book. Like even I was like going through my notes and my highlights and stuff and being like, oh yeah, I forgot this happened. Oh yeah, I forgot they said this. I forgot that was funny. There's definitely a lot of stuff that happens. It feels like, well, we'll get into that later. Where do we leave off at? Thoughts on Nancy?
I liked her. I don't know if I wonder how she hits for people for people who've gone through her situation.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I think I saw somewhere in the Discord someone said something.
I think it was Audrey.
Yeah, and it's like I am not a father. I have no. I mean, unless you count a dog who hates me. But so that is not my struggle. Hopefully, will never be my struggle. But so I don't know. But I still felt her grief, and like I was like, y'all need to leave this poor woman alone.
Mm-hmm. Agree. I think that Nancy's, and I wonder, did I have like a more specific question that I just didn't write? Oh no, I didn't. For Nancy's character was interesting to me because I liked what she represented, and it was something that I didn't realize in the moment when I was reading it. It wasn't until Audrey said what she said in the Discord that I was like, huh, I never thought about it from that perspective. But I think before that, and even with her saying that, like that's a valid point for people that have been through something like that. I do think that that is good representation for people that have been through that kind of grief. I think that for me personally, her character was, I don't know what word I'm looking for. I was gonna say like disposable, but like I feel like her character didn't like push the story forward. It was something that was there, and it's like, okay, I like the message of this, but
Yeah,
also it's not pushing the story forward. It doesn't really impact the overall plot or where the story is going. So it's like I could have. It's like one of those things where it's like, take it or leave it. Like I could have done without it. It's fine that it was there, but I also feel like it made the book longer than it needed to be. I feel like maybe Nancy's story could have been its own separate book or something, and there could have been a story built around that. But I feel like adding it to this book just made the book unnecessarily long when it wasn't pushing the story forward.
I disagree with that
Okay.
because I feel like it was another view of grief,
Mm-hmm.
and especially with the way we did not get the ending that I wanted. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like her one part that really stuck out with me that I really not enjoyed, but I like how they said that she didn't heal like that.
Mm-hmm.
That this just started her down the road of healing. So I not enjoy. I feel like talking about topics like this is weird to say.
Mm-hmm.
I liked and enjoyed it.
Appreciate.
Yeah, I appreciated that she showed a realistic version of grief.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree with that. I think that maybe for me, and like we'll kind of talk about like the pacing of the book later, but I felt like the book dragged at a certain point, and I feel like by the time we got to the story about like Nancy and what happened with her daughter and all of that, I was kind of like not fully invested in the story. Like I was like drifting away, being like, okay, let's just get through this. And maybe that's the reason why I feel like I could have like taken it or leave or left it. Maybe like I think this is just for me. I think that that would have been a great story to do like a novella or something like separate so that the book itself is not as long and like you can get through the plot of the book but then still have that story as like a separate like side story, if that makes sense. Let me see, where did I leave off? The old man saw Wallace partially naked and was like, yep, I'm gonna have some cake too. Facts. I liked when he talked about being attracted to men as well. Yes, agree. I feel like all the humiliating stuff all made him loosen up a bit. Yes, he needed to be humbled. So the tapping on his head or whatever he did, jumping on one foot, or him walking around in a bikini. There was also a moment where he was like, was he like teleporting or something into different, or he was like running through people's houses or something, and there was some crazy stuff happening in the houses that he was running through. Yeah, he needed that humiliation to humble him. Yes, agree. I was sad for Nancy. Yeah, it was definitely a very sad story, for sure. I feel for her so bad. As a mom having gone through fertility and still going through it today, I cannot even fathom going through something like that. Yeah. And that's why I said like that, like you were the first person to like bring that to my attention. Cause at first I kind of was just like, meh. But like having like your perspective on it as someone who is a parent, I had not thought about it through that lens. So I was glad that you were able to kind of like bring that point to my attention in the Discord. I appreciate the mental health rep with her, having Hugo just being there without saying anything. It was just pure respect. Yep, I agree with that. Nancy would have been my perfect study participant, checked all the boxes. I agree. I had a YouTube friend who had been doing fertility for 7 years and was pregnant, hoping it worked this time while I was reading this book. Oh, wow. I needed to look up what you were studying. Yeah, it does sound really interesting. Asma, you should like post your, once you like finish and you get it graded and stuff, you should publish it somewhere so that we can all read it. Yes, Audrey, I love that Hugo would just sit and say nothing. Sometimes just being there is comfort enough. Yep. And I think that was a good thing to like highlight, because sometimes people feel like they have to do something to be there for someone. And like you said, sometimes you don't have to do anything, you don't have to say anything. Sometimes just being there is enough. I did not even know. Oh yeah. Yep. Did not even know there was a disorder. Yep. Mm-hmm.
What disorder?
The like the chronic grief, the stuff that Asma is studying.
Oh.
It's so tough. Hopefully it's working for her. Yes, I hope so as well. She had the baby now. Oh, that's great.
That's good.
That's awesome. Nice. I cried so hard during the Nancy parts, especially the last part with her. Yeah, it was definitely emotional. I think that I wasn't in a setting where I could like really dive into that. I was literally on a bus, like on a public transit bus, trying to get to work when I was listening to that part of the book where they give the backstory about what happened to her daughter and stuff. It was definitely sad. But in the back of my mind, I was pissed off because I was on a bus and I don't usually take the bus. It was crowded. People were coughing and not wearing masks. Like I just wasn't in the right mood to be reading that part of the book. But yes, I can agree that it was definitely like very sad. And I think that the other Reaper, the one before May, like just the worst type of creature.
I wanted to fight him when he started talking shit. When we got the flashback to Cameron's story, and it was like the suicide stuff, or this is not TikTok, so I don't got to worry about that. But the fact that was like, you are a asshole.
100%. It's interesting to me too, because May is a Reaper, but May was like born that way. So I just wonder, are all Reapers just like naturally gifted with that talent? Or are some of them kind of like Hugo where they're offered the job? Because I'm just trying to figure out how that Reaper even got the job in the first place. Because he just sounds like
maybe he started good, but like got jaded over time.
Could be. But to do that to a kid, that's harsh. That's next level jaded. Jacqueline Wheeler, she shares her story on YouTube. Okay. Glad to hear. Rally, in a nutshell, how does unfinished business with a dead loved one affect an individual's mental well-being, specifically looking at prolonged grief, chronic grief disorder, depression, and guilt? Yeah, I want to read this, Asma. You need to publish this somewhere.
Look at Asma being smart and shit.
If I get a good grade, I'll share it. Yes, please do. As if it was a possibility for you not to have a good grade, right? Nancy moving on definitely made me so happy for her. Yeah. Yes, Audrey's a big possibility. Well, yeah, because you keep spending all your time working on everybody else's paper and not working on yours.
Asma, get your paper done.
I can't imagine going through that stuff in a place between and other people also coming in with issues. No wonder May got annoyed as the medium. Yeah, exactly. That medium had something against kids, I'm convinced. Probably. Probably. She
Not the
seemed
medium.
very like self-centered. Huh?
The Reaper or the medium?
Well, she said the medium.
Oh.
The medium probably did. Just because the medium to me seemed like she was very self-centered, so she probably didn't care about anybody that wasn't herself. But the Reaper maybe did have something against kids. I wouldn't be surprised if the Reaper did have something against kids. The way he treated Nancy's daughter, that was cold, next level cold. Just wasn't even necessary to force that little girl like that. That I think was like the roughest part, was the fact that he forced her.
Yeah.
And she was so young. I'm just like, that's not okay. Not okay at all. Let me see. Next up, Wallace's connection with Cameron. So for that, I do have like a more detailed question for that. Why/how do you think Wallace was able to communicate with Cameron when no one else had?
I think it was more the fact that Wallace was willing to.
I would agree with that. I think that nobody else really tried to.
Yeah. Because everybody agreed with what they were told by the manager.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else wanted to.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they just took what the manager said at face value and then like didn't bother to try to reach out or like get his side of the story or connect with him.
Maybe they didn't. They just, not that they wanted that to happen to him, but they didn't want to think about it, kind of, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not that you're wanting something bad to happen to someone, but you're not wanting to think about what you're doing and how it's affecting someone.
Mm-hmm. I kind of saw it as like the manager said that this is what it is, and the manager knows everything, so he must be right. So I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to, think for myself or take that step to, see on my own. It's like, I'm just going to accept what he says. He says that's what it is. That's what it is. Like,
also, this is like a scary looking husk creature.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think that I would have tried to communicate with him the way that he was described, like the way he looked. He sounds terrifying looking, like something out of a nightmare. So I probably wouldn't have tried to communicate with him either, if I'm being honest. But
and remember, also,
their job.
The beginning of the communication was like legit him grabbing Wallace.
Mm-hmm. So and that's the next thing that I was gonna say. Yeah, it wasn't even like Wallace was trying to communicate with Cameron. I think it was more so like Cameron wanted someone to know his story. And I think that none of the other people there ever got close enough to him for him to be able to like grab them like that and be like, listen to me. I think too, I don't know if he would have even wanted Hugo or any of them to like know his story. I feel like he had, what's the word I'm looking for? Like he didn't trust them. After the way they let him go out there and be turned into a husk or whatever, and they didn't like try to help him or go after him, he probably didn't really trust them after that and was like, you don't deserve to hear my story. But with Wallace, it's like, oh, well, I can kind of relate to this guy. I see that he's going through something similar to what I went through. Like maybe he'll understand me versus these people have been here the whole time and they haven't bothered to try to hear me out or whatever like that. So I thought that was really interesting. Let me see. Not that one. No, the Reaper, the Nancy daughter one, yeah. I think it's because he was dead himself, but yes, Paco, he was the only one willing to try and listen. They didn't know it was possible to happen because the manager never told them it was possible. They took it for granted and never questioned anything. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I agree with Paco. No one tried out of fear, whereas Wallace was rebellious, and he was the type of person to do something after telling them not to do it. It's kind of made me think of the characters in Soul, who just lose themselves in their boring lives and become these black clouds of people. Don't know if I'm the only one. I never thought about that before. That's a good point.
In a minute, so
that's a good like analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
Cameron was stuck as a husk for like 4 years. I don't know how many years it was, but it was definitely a long time.
It was definitely for May, so
yeah. Maybe Cameron could also feel his love and passion in it, cause Wallace basically did for his love for Hugo, didn't he? Yeah. I don't remember that part as strongly. I forgot to take notes. No problem. But yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page when it comes to this like particular topic. So that's good. Next question is the setting. So for the setting, what did you think about the setting? In terms of it being a tea shop, and do you think that it has any impact on the story? So like, had the setting been, I don't know, a hot dog stand, like would that have changed the story in any way?
Now I'm thinking of Hugo as like, I make these special hot dogs for you when you die that are different, like a different flavored hot dog for everybody.
One of the things that I thought about for this question was that I think because I initially I thought of it being like a coffee shop. I didn't go straight to hot dog. That was just something I just thought of just now. But I was like, oh, what if it was a coffee shop instead of a tea shop? Because that's what I was thinking when I first started reading this book. When he first goes there, and I'm like, oh, it's a tea shop. And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's kind of boring. It would be more fun if it was like a Starbucks or something. But then I was thinking about it, like after reading this question, I was like, well, maybe the tea is good for this type of scenario, like this type of situation, because this is a very like high stress situation. You die, you're trying to, adjust, you're trying to process or whatever. And I don't think that drinking coffee would help that situation. And tea tends to have like a more calming effect. So like maybe that's the reason why the tea shop was chosen. I don't know.
She
I'm just
also played a major
spitballing.
part in the themes of like tea has healing properties, and they were talking about the tea plant, that this is something that you gotta like let it takes years to grow and stuff. So I feel like the tea plant itself played a large part into the story.
Yeah, with like patience and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, like being calm, being patient, not trying to rush things, not always needing answers. Like I just feel like that had an impact on it, but I don't know if anybody has any like other or insight in terms, because I don't know a whole lot about tea. The only stuff I know about tea is the stuff I read in this book. So like if there are other reasons why you guys feel like maybe the tea shop was chosen or was like a good pick versus something else. Where do we leave off at? No. Do Wallace remind you guys of the main character in the Cerulean Sea? I have not read that book,
No.
so I don't know.
Wallace and
goes to get book.
Yeah. Linus they're not the same type of character. They had a similar kind of arc, but Linus wasn't an ass like Wallace was.
I have not read Cerulean Sea, so I can't comment on that one way or the other. Asma loved that it was a tea shop. Tea shop gives off this calming feeling to a chaotic afterlife thing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, they probably chose a tea shop because tea tends to be like calming and soothing, whereas like coffee is like you need energy and it like gives you a boost or whatever. You probably don't want people on caffeine
And
after they die.
Like medicinal, like properties to it, and it's also there's a mystical connection to tea. Like it's got like that stuff around it too. But yeah, Linus and Wallace were very different characters. They kind of had the same arc and same kind of like. It is very much a similar story. Like character A, something's wrong with character A, that they don't know something's wrong with character A. They go to a place where they meet a found family. There's like something magical about this found family. They get with a guy in the found family at the end, and they grow. But it's very different types of growing.
Okay. Haven't read Cerulean Sea, yeah, same. I love the tea shop. Taking time to sit down and sip your tea is a perfect place for relaxation. I thought a little weird at first, but then I loved it because the stereotype for tea shop is feminine. Too many, and this involved both genders and love. So I like that he broke that stereotype too. Okay, I never even thought about it from that perspective. Anyone can love what they love and go where they like. Agree, that part. I don't know, maybe I read into that. I mean, hey, you get out of it whatever you get out of it. Your interpretation is your interpretation. No, he didn't. He didn't to me. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Wallace to me did remind me a little of Linus, but more so because of the kind of job they did. Once he left the job, then he did not remind me of Linus anymore. Were they both lawyers or something?
No, Linus is Child Protective Services.
Oh, okay.
But gotcha. Like magical Child Protective Services.
Gotcha. Now you're missing out. Read it ASAP. I enjoy the audiobook.
I always do mention this part to people just so they know what they're getting into when reading on the House in the Crucian Sea. Look what it's based on, because the author kind of maybe shouldn't have based it on what he based it on of the residential housing for Indigenous children. And I always suggest looking to that so that people know what they're getting into. Like, you don't want to be like, oh, I love this book in front of someone who's like, hey, maybe like.
Fair enough. Similar story. In other words, similar formula but different elements. Yeah, sounds like it. As and read it when you finish your paper and helping others. So next question is the manager. What are your thoughts on the manager? And then like a follow-up question to that. How powerful do you think the manager is? And what do you think he represents? So like we know that like Hugo is a ferryman. Like we understand what that is. We know that May is a reaper. We understand what that is. We know that Desma, what was her name? Desma, whatever her name was. She was a medium. Like we know what that is. But like the manager, huh?
I put medium because I really don't think she couldn't talk to spirits. She wasn't
right. But we also know people who claim to be mediums or psychics or whatever, and they're like frauds. So like we still understand like what she is, what her role is. But like what is the manager? Because at first I thought he was God, but then at the end when he had to like make that phone call to get Wallace like resurrected, I was like, oh well, there must be somebody that's higher than him that he answers to.
Well, in this book there was no God. It was more of like he was like an elder god, I guess, if that makes sense. Like gods, plural. I think that like I don't think he represented death. I think he represented change.
Okay.
Because I think he represented because he doesn't know death. He doesn't know life. So I think he represents the change, the cross, because he very much deals with the crossing over. And he doesn't deal with the other side because, like, will be on the door is who he was talking to. So he's more of like, to me, because like an embodiment of change. Okay.
Never thought about it like that, but that was something that I was like confused about for a while because, like I said in the beginning, because everybody always talked about the manager. He seemed like this, very ominous, presence, and I was just like, okay, he's the god equivalent. But then, like, he talked about the fact that, like, he didn't actually know what was on the other side of the door. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then, at the end, he has to, like, make a phone call to somebody, and he's going back and forth, and it sounds like whoever he's talking to is, like, higher up in the hierarchy than he is. And I'm like, okay, well, then he clearly isn't God. There's clearly somebody higher than him. I'm like, what is this? Is he an angel? Like, what is this guy? But I never thought of him just being, like, a representative of, like, change. Haven't read it out of respect for the indigenous people in America, but that's just me. I read it before all that came out.
Same, Pat. I did too. I'm like, you could still read it. I just think you have to know. It's best to know that going in.
Didn't read the book, but wanted to say hi. Hey, Courtney. Thanks for stopping in. They needed an antagonist and obstacles. So the manager made sense being that. And it's interesting they call him the manager because it makes it sound like it's a business. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what it was in a sense.
Yeah.
It was bureaucratic. Yeah, I don't know what I'm looking for.
Bureaucratic, yeah. There's always a manager. And to your point, that was one of the reasons why I assumed that he was like God, because I'm like, oh, like maybe instead of using the word God, they want to be more like, political and like not have it be religious or spiritual and just call him the manager. But then when I realized there was someone higher than him,
he said it multiple times, "I'm not God."
Yeah,
that is your human concept, of
right?
God.
Yep.
Or a God or whatever God is. Like, that is like. So I don't think it was that.
And that's where I started getting confused. I was like, oh, wait, you're not God? There's someone higher than you? I'm like, what are you? And I like, too, that they talked about, like, our human constructs, our human understanding of things that are beyond our understanding, and how we'll take things and kind of like turn it into something that we can comprehend, because there are things that are like vast beyond our understanding that we can't comprehend. So I like that talk as well. Hello, Courtney. The why we have to do it this way. Yeah. I was neutral towards the manager, didn't like him or hate him, understood that he had a job to do, and that was his entire purpose, kind of like a robot. Okay. Riley felt the same way. Hello, Pat. Hello, Courtney. Yeah, he is not in charge. Right, and that's what I thought he was at first. And then I was like, oh, okay, just kidding. I like that thought, Paco, seeing the manager as change. Yeah, I never thought about that before. Uh-oh. Asthma Rally, Audrey, what's up? The book sounds really deep. It was pretty deep.
It deals with death.
Yeah. I like that he took a child's form because it makes it easier if he would have talked to him. Oh, I never thought about that before. Him or them or whatever. It makes it more accessible, I guess. It de-dramatizes the grandness of the being itself.
See, I think he took the form of a kid because it kind of goes into the change. Like what's ever changing as a child, kind of like. And
but that's an interesting concept that Audrey is saying about making it a child, because it's less threatening that way.
I don't know. I find that more threatening. I'm sorry. Kids are creepy. And like, he made it more threatening, but when he was popping off on them, I was like, look, we could fight.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody else listened to the audiobook for this, but I listened to this audiobook, and I also listened to the audiobook for A Court of Wings and Ruin. And the narration of the manager reminded me so much of the narration for the Bone Carver. And I think that was one of the reasons why I really liked the manager, was just because he reminded me so much of the Bone Carver, and I liked the Bone Carver. They're both like these little kids that have like smart ass mouths, and they're actually like really smart because they're actually grown people, but they just look like little kids. Yeah. It's funny. I like that. Hello, Courtney. Kids are scary. Facts.
Exactly. Like, I'm sorry. If any of you guys have kids that get possessed, don't ask me to help, because we're fighting. Because how dare you want me to die?
Him taking the child form made him funnier, and like how they say like spirits can take different forms reminded me of the kid in Cerulean Sea, and said that he was the devil. Oh,
one of the kids in the Cerulean Sea is the Antichrist.
Interesting.
For the whole plot point.
That's really cool.
I did find it funny when he gets the chair and like tries to scoot up to be on the table so that he could like be eye length with them. I thought that part was funny.
I thought that his character was funny. In the beginning, I thought he was funny. I thought he was like really smart, really on top of his game, like knew what he was talking about, like had answers before you even had questions. But then like the more you see him talking, he almost like contradicts himself, and he seems like he's kind of a hypocrite. And I'm like, okay, now you're ruining it, sir. And then when he comes back at the end and he's sitting in the chair or whatever, then I felt like he started digging himself a grave. And I was like, I liked you. Like, you were doing so well. Now you're just being an asshole. And then eventually he redeemed himself in the end when he, brought Wallace back to life. Yeah.
I did the audiobook.
I did it audio style. Love the narrator.
Yeah. The narration's really well.
Not to me though, but I understand they scare people. Right, you're a teacher. You clearly are not.
I feel like you should be more scared of kids as a teacher. You gotta do it 24/7.
She knows how to whip them into shape. She knows how to handle them. He cracked me up as a kid. I audiobooked it. Okay, so everybody for the most part listened to the audio. That's good. I enjoyed the audiobook with it too, but their voices was not how I pictured it. I think some people's voices, I would agree, was not how I pictured it. But for the most part, I enjoyed the voices. Let's see. Did you like the ending? And we kind of talked about this a little bit already. I liked the ending outside of the fact that they resurrected Wallace. Outside of that, I liked the way that it ended. I liked
the epilogue a lot.
The epilogue was hilarious.
Yeah. I was really like whiplash. I said it earlier, but when we get this sweet scene, like, oh, I see you. Let's go to your room to fuck. I was like, what the fuck are we really?
They were like, oh, he's gonna get a tour of his room. I was like,
we're just, and then also, I don't know, part of me who's lived with my parents my entire life, I find it weird to proudly say we're about to have sex with other people in the house like that. Like, it's just weird to me. Like, I get it where you can get it, but just like to proudly, loudly say where everybody can hear you, like.
Mm-hmm. Good thing his grandfather was gone.
No, his grandfather was there still.
Oh, he was still there?
Because it happened right after he got.
Oh, after Alan left.
And then the ghost, the grandpa was like a couple months while he was human.
Okay.
Before he left.
Right. You're right. So yeah, that's even more weird. I would not do that with my
how
grandparents.
he chose to be old, kind of, Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
When I talked about that, I thought that was pretty interesting. And it's like he chose to be old because that's how Hugo knew him.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ugh.
Yeah. When they showed him like about to leave, he was like all spiffy and young. I was like, okay, sexy, I see you.
He's like, hey, I'm about to see my wife.
I was like, okay, Mr. Dapper, I see you. But I thought that was really cute that he decided to, be old looking for the sake of Hugo. That was really sweet. I learned so much from kids. Kids literally say the darndest things.
Oh, the horror stories I have.
We all need someone who has the answers to keep us grounded. So when the manager didn't have answers, it made everyone feel very anxious and restless, like everyone lost sense and meaning. I completely agree with that. And that was one of the things that frustrated me because I thought when I first met him, what is it, chapter 17, when you first meet him and he's like talking to Wallace, I was like, okay, this guy has all the answers. Like he knows everything. He may not tell you everything, but we know that he knows and that he's in control or whatever like that.
We know that he knows that we know.
Right. But then when you get to the end where they're like talking and he's like, giving Wallace like the ultimatum, like you got to cross, like that whole conversation or whatever, I was like, oh, he actually doesn't have all the answers. And that's concerning because if he doesn't know, who knows? And this is before you know that there are people that are higher than him.
I did like the idea of the fact that this is a person that is not human. Mm-hmm. This is a person who has never been human. This is a person that does not have to deal with death. Mm-hmm. Like, he has nothing to do with that. So I did like the idea that he is very cold and that he doesn't know how to deal with it. That's why he needs Reapers and Ferrymen. Mm-hmm. Because they know the human experience. They know empathy. I thought that was really interesting. Mm-hmm. I like that in a being who's like a godlike being.
Yeah. There were definitely some moments where you could tell that he was like very disconnected from like human emotion. Like he was just rude sometimes, like for no reason. Like there was one part where he was like talking to them and then somebody said something. He was like, I'm not finished talking. I was like, oh, okay, excuse me.
No, yeah, he ranked a lot. And I was like, disrespectful. Like, he basically was, you better remember who you fucking talking to. Like,
I was like, excuse me, sir. Rude. I say. The ending didn't matter to me, as far as I've said before. I would have liked either ending. Okay. I started reading it and the audiobook whole came through. Nice. I was happy they could be together in touch. It's a fantasy book. Fair. Apparently Nelson was fine too. That's what I'm saying. Like they described him all dressed up. He was suited and booted. I was like, okay. I see where you get it honest. Runs in the family. It was 5-star until the ending, which brought it down to 4 stars. I love that Nelson and Doggo finally got to move on and see his wife and his family. I am still upset that Apollo didn't get to stay. Yeah, I feel like they should have left him. They should have let him stay. He was fine. He was living his best life.
On the he would pee on the people like the sector, or that he was chasing the squirrels and and the squirrels didn't know or something.
He was just a cute character. I know for a fact that Nelson was fine man in his youth, right? Hugo was so selfless, so I was happy he got rewarded. Now Hugo go slap that ass.
Yeah, and also the fact that Hugo picked Wallace up on his shoulder, I was like, okay, I didn't know.
Manhandled.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
That's how the manager felt robot-like, and I was okay with it. His character was understandable. I mean, it's true to how we work as humans. Managers and admins do not know what happens on the field, and they are always the ones making these big decisions. That is so true. That is big facts. So true.
Say it again.
Right. Say it for the people in the back because they didn't hear you.
Turn it up.
So true. Riley, I don't know who says I want to slap more, but I want to join. Oh my
That's what you
gosh.
freak. You freak.
Always. Apollo had family too, like parent. Oh, that's probably true. I didn't think about that.
Two dogs? No. We're not gonna get into
I don't know.
We're not going to get into the sentient conversation again.
Yeah, I don't know.
The animals communicating.
I have no idea. Oh yeah, because we talked about like, do they communicate and stuff? I forgot we talked about that. Lol. All right, let's see. What's the next question? Did you find the story predictable?
Yes, but I wasn't mad about it. Like, this wasn't a book where it's like plot twists. This was very it was predictable, but not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that like I knew very early on that Hugo and Wallace were going to get together. And I knew that Hugo and Wallace were going to get together. And as a result of them getting together, Nelson was then going to cross over because he didn't need to be there anymore. So all of that I saw coming.
And I also feel like the predictability came from me just being an avid reader.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like this is like clearly like, oh, this is so predictable. It was just like, oh, I know what foreshadowing is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Don't yuck my yum, Baco.
I said you're a freak, but that's not a bad thing. I didn't say
anything. Oh my gosh.
I mentioned a fact.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that ending was like I said, it was predictable. But I did not expect them to resurrect Wallace. I was not expecting that. I thought that he was gonna like make the call and he was gonna be like, hey, like I tried, but unfortunately, like it is what it is. And I would have been okay with that. But they decided to resurrect him. It is what it is, I guess.
Here's a question. I don't know if you have this question, but did any part of the book make you cry or make you emotional?
I did not have that question, so I'm glad that you asked it. Oops. But for me, no, there wasn't any point where I oh my gosh, I'm trying to get this off the screen. Me trying to multitask. There was not a point where I cried. I have never cried reading a book. I think the closest I've ever gotten to crying while reading a book was when I was reading One True Loves. And I didn't cry, but I was like very emotional for literally no reason, because the part of the book that I got emotional on was a part that you read earlier. You were just rereading it later in the story. So it was so stupid that I even got that emotional over it. But that's the closest that I've gotten to like crying at a book. But this book, I could see why someone would cry reading this, especially with stuff like with Nancy and her daughter. Like that was a really like emotional part of the book. And then even with like Cameron and his story, like I definitely think that there are moments where it would make sense for someone to cry. But for me personally, I did not.
Are you a crier at like movies and TV shows?
Yeah, and I think maybe I'm more of like a visual. So like if you're crying, then I might start crying if I can see you. But if I can't see it, then maybe it just doesn't trigger in me. I don't know.
I do have things that I call, it's not crying, but I do have like bad bitch tears where I like with my eyes water, like I get emotional like that. And I don't think I got to that part in this book, but I did like my chest hurt. Like I felt some shit when like Cameron's backstory was discussed. And then also I am a sucker. This scene in a movie or a TV show, I've talked about this with Helen, will get me, or in a book. It's very much, have you seen Spider-Man 2?
The Tobey Maguire or the Tom Holland?
So you know the scene where they're like, if you're gonna fuck with Spider-Man, you gotta fuck with me, kind of like scene where they step in front of it. Scenes like that get me. Like that gets me specifically. So when they were like trying to hold Wallace down, that got me a little bit, but it didn't like full on make me cry.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I'm more of like a visual crier. So if I see someone crying, it'll make me cry. But just like knowing that someone's crying or like reading about it, it doesn't have the same effect on me. Yes, most of it was a little bit of a surprise. I did not mind, still liked it. Okay. Very predictable for me, but the book wasn't about the twist in the plot. It was a reflection on grief and death. It did what it was intended to do. It did what it was intended to do, in my honest opinion. So I didn't care to see what was going to happen. Fair enough. I did get a little emotional, but that was because of my own experiences and my love for Hugo. Okay. It wasn't a plot-driven book, it was a character-driven book. Yeah, that's definitely true. Definitely true. I cried when Cameron, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that part got me.
Mm-hmm. As I said, I could understand why someone would cry. There definitely were some heavy emotional parts to this book. Cameron's story made me emotional, but not
Like
cry.
when we started talking about Cameron, when Cameron was when Cameron started talking about like the days of like I got up and I just like I didn't go outside. I got dressed and like just like those scenes like got me, like the depression part like hit me and like ugh.
I agree. I cried at the Nancy part twice, and when Nelson and Apollo crossed. Oh.
I will say very, very up. Cameron's story was very up. The first 15 minutes of Up.
I could agree with that. Could relate to loss of love, so it got me teary, and I took a breath but did not bawl. Fair. I cry at movies, yeah. If it's a movie or a TV show and I can see it, I probably will start crying. I do not cry easy in books. It's book 2 out of 3 that managed to make me cry in all the books that I've read. Wow.
All three.
But I'm a crybaby in movies, so go figure. I get emotional at books where someone takes away someone you love. I cried a little with the book Nightcrawling because of that. Oh, I haven't read that. Yeah. I did not want Hugo to lose another person. Yeah. I wanted a reward for them to finally have love. Aww.
No.
And family. Oh, yes, Paco, good comparison. Very up-like story.
Yeah.
I have lost too many people. I need therapy and my own Hugo and found family. Everybody can use therapy, honestly. What are the other two?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it kind of did remind me of This Is Us. Ah, see, I've never seen that before. I cry so hard every episode. I've never watched that show. My mom watches it, but I've never seen it. Yeah, I've never seen an episode of it. Where Your Found Family. Aww. The House in the Cerulean Sea and The Burning God. Oh, okay.
Burning God. That book's so good.
Did that make you cry?
It didn't make me cry. It got me emotional.
Okay.
But it didn't. I don't think I cried in that one. Books that made me cry. Kingdom of Ash made me cry. See, I don't cry a lot with books either. I'm trying to think. I think. Inheritance of Orchidia Divina made me cry, or not cry, but like bad bitch tears. Yeah, because I haven't really bawled out for a thing, but I do get, like I said, bad bitch tears with stuff.
It's very character driven too, and it has the same kind of reflection on your life. Okay. I haven't read The Burning God. I should check it out now.
That's book 3 in the Poppy War trilogy. Very different energy from this. Very different energy from this series, this book.
This Is Us, when he puts his son on his back and did push-ups, committing to being a support and a good dad. OMG. I haven't watched that show. Saw one episode of This Is Us, and it's cry-worthy. Okay. The R.F. Kuang one, Audrey. I'm assuming the answer to that is probably yes.
Oh, Babel. Babel got me.
I was surprised. That really, Babel made you cry.
Yeah, Babel is a Lynn is still in chat. Babel is a life-altering book.
I know that Lynn was obsessed with that book after she finished it. I was surprised that I actually cried to The Burning God. Was not expecting to cry on it at all, but it was the perfect ending, but still made me cry. Huh.
I almost cried at the Barbie movie.
At the Barbie movie?
It gets emotional. There's some point. There's one line there. Watch it. It's good.
As I said, all right, never mind.
But why you don't like R.F. Kuang as?
Hilarious.
R.F. Kuang is the GOAT.
I have never read an R.F. Kuang book.
We all have.
What did you guys think of the pacing of this book?
because I listened to the audiobook at 2 times speed, I didn't notice a pacing issue.
Interesting. I felt like it was slow in the middle. I thought the beginning was funny, the middle dragged, and then the end was good. I would say somewhere around like chapter 10, 12, somewhere in there for me is when it started to like drag, and I didn't really like check back in until probably around like chapter 17 when like Wallace and the manager finally meet and have their conversation. That was kind of like when I checked back in, and I was like, okay, here we go, like now things are happening. But the middle of it for me dragged a lot, and I felt myself like considering DNFing. I think that if I wasn't doing a live for this and we weren't reading this as a group, I probably would have DNF'd it if I was just reading it on my own, because the middle was like really tough to get through. But once I got through that, I was like, okay, like now we're rolling. It was kind of like pushing uphill, and then once you finally get up that hill, then it, goes from there. Let's see. Not the Barbie movie.
It was good.
Books don't make me cry a lot, but last night I was watching an anime, and gosh, did I bawl my eyes out. My Happy Marriage is on Netflix. Oh, I've never heard of that.
I think I've heard of that one.
Ken on the Barbie movies, Mattel makes a dojo casa house, please. No, it's the third book. I ain't reading 3 books just to get to the cry.
You're gonna cry for all 3 books. It's good. We're not getting into this, Asma.
Paco, didn't you have enough pink on at Barbie?
For the second showing I went to, I did. So I took my mom on Sunday, and then I took my nieces on Monday.
Aww.
So, and me and my brother took my 2 nieces to go see it.
That's so cute. OMG, I cried at Coco. I keep hearing that. I've never seen Coco, but everybody says that it makes them cry.
Wait, Paul, you haven't never seen Coco?
I've never seen it.
I can't watch Coco anymore.
Really? Why?
My great grandma passed away. If you've seen the movie, there's a reason why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I keep hearing that it's like a sad movie.
It deals with death. It deals with family. It's good. Go watch it.
The pacing was fine because all the books dragged for me at the start and again in the middle. My audio speed is 2 times, so it was fast, but it did drag a bit in the middle. I didn't mind the pacing. Okay. I watched that online with many people, and they were all sniffing. I was laughing. Nothing like a group read to keep. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for the group read, I probably would not have finished this book because I would have been like, I'm bored.
But because I was a group read, I wouldn't have started it. Because I didn't get to it last month. I got to it this month, and the only reason I was actively I need to finish this book is because, my God, I said yes to Nell. I got to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be
we already told people we're going to do this.
Yeah. We're going to be like certain booktubers who have a live for a book club thing and not read the book and laugh about it. That was before your time on here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have not been to one of those. That book is top tier. It's so worth it, even if you don't cry, but it's very dark, though.
Yes.
Are we still talking about Burning God? Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, Paco, for sure. For real, Courtney, yeah. I prefer the book of life to Coco. Unpopular opinion here.
They're both book of life. It's a other book movie inspired by Dia dos Muertos. They're both but they're both good, but yeah.
I've never heard of that book before.
They're both movies.
Didn't cry until the end. Okay. Do you guys have any favorite quotes or passages that stood out to you?
I do put quotes in my. I put a quote for each book I read in my reading journal, and again, I bet you can't find his reading journal. I had to get it for Princess's Sprint. It's right in front of me. It's just I'd never written on top of it. So the book quote I put. What quote did I put? Oh, it's never enough is it time. We always think we have so much of it, but when it really counts, we don't have enough at all.
I like that.
All the stuff about you think you have more time to like say how you feel or stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one. I have a couple that I like highlighted. So like there's one that says, sure he had no friends, no family, he had no partner, no one to grieve over him as he lain in that expensive coffin in front of a ridiculous church. But that shouldn't be the only measure of a life well lived.
mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting. One, because I'm just like it just made me think like what is like how do you measure a life well lived? Like, and I feel like that answer is different for everyone. But it's just like, oh wow, like he had no one there. But some people might be like, oh, well, I don't care if anybody's there because I hate people. I'm just glad that I was, rich or whatever. So it just makes you like think
Mm-hmm.
about like what unit you would measure your life in. And it also reminded me of Rent.
Yeah,
When
I
there's
was
like
about to
pieces of
say
love.
when you were saying the line,
Mm-hmm.
my part of the lyrics came in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Visions of love. How do you measure?
Mm-hmm. How do you measure our last year on Earth? Measuring love. That's my song.
Here's a question. Maybe weird. Do you guys have your funerals planned out? How you want them to go in your head?
I do not actually.
I have a set of rules for my funeral, and
Rules.
I've told people. First rule is first I don't want people wearing black at my
Okay.
funeral. They got to wear pink. Barbie. We're doing Barbie style. The Barbie movie. I don't want black people wearing black. Second, if a bitch, I've told my best friends and my brother this. If a bitch I don't like goes up and starts saying some fake ass shit of how we were friends and they love me and they're so sad I'm gone, they have permission to go up there and push them off the
Oh
stage.
my gosh.
And if another person gets up and says Paco wouldn't want this, push them too because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't think I have any plans for how I would want it to be.
And
I just want to make sure that I'm dressed in something cute. Like, don't put me in an ugly outfit.
As my coffin is being put into the ground, I want Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You to play off as fireworks go.
Oh my gosh. Now I feel like I need to like put thought into this because I've never really thought that. I'm just like, don't put me in anything ugly. I want to be buried in something that is like emerald green. Like green is my color. And green looks good on me. I'm like, emerald green, don't make it ugly, make sure it's cute. But that's about as far as I've thought about it. Where do we leave off? I don't annotate, so I don't have quotes. Fair enough. Yes, but I did not write it down, so the proof is gone. Death is an ending leading to a new beginning. Love that. But it did have an impact on me, even if it was my second read, and still got me those reflections on my life in it, especially with everything that I've been going through these last 2 years. Yeah, it was definitely a good like life reflection.
I do also think like a good reread can always like change your different points in your life when you read a book, and so that changes how you take a book.
Agree. Love that one, Paco. I have not thought of Rent song in so long, but made me think about it recently. I thought about it when I read that line, but I just thought about it yesterday because I was trying to pick out an outfit. I'm going to a white party, and I was trying to figure out like what I'm gonna wear, and I was like, you know what? If you've seen Rent, like the movie, Take Me for What I Am scene, the outfit that her name's Joanne, right?
Is it with Idina Menzel's character or the black? Okay,
it's both of them. They're singing to each other.
I know who they're singing.
Party. The outfit that Joanne has on, like the vest with like the pants. I've always wanted to wear an outfit like that. Like ever since I saw that movie when I was like 11, I've always wanted to wear that. And so I went in search of an all white like vest, like sleeveless vest pantsuit, just so that I could wear an outfit like her.
Fun fact: if you did not know about Rent, the actress Idina Menzel, the one that plays the scene that's Elsa in Frozen, and she also originated Wicked. Role. Musical theater.
I think she was the original person that played that character in the musical version of Rent.
She's the original.
Yep, which I thought was really cool.
Original her. She was on Glee. She was on Glee.
Very cool. I don't think I have a quote. It's hard to write down via audiobook. Yeah.
I
have the ebook and I have the regular book. I don't usually annotate in the physical book unless I have like important stuff that I know I'm going to refer back to. Otherwise, I just put it in my phone. Kiana says she has her funeral planned. Okay. I'm too poor for a funeral, and no one will be left I knew, but one, so who cares? Oh no.
Aww.
I don't want to think about my funeral. It scares. I agree. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't thought that much about it. Because I'm like, the minute I start thinking about it, am I making it real?
See, I don't know if I'm not scared to death. In the sense of like, that means I don't got more shit. I don't got shit I got to worry about anymore. My mind never shuts up, and I'm a constant worrier, overthinker, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sounds peaceful to me, and I don't want to say that in a cryptic, evil, like not evil, but like cryptic, like dark way.
Mm-hmm.
But like that just sounds relaxing.
Bury me as a tree and let me grow. I was just telling my mom that yesterday. I was like, we should have like cremated part of my grandmother because like she was like really into like gardening and stuff, and I would have loved to have like planted something with like her ashes and like grown something.
Well, I know there's something where you can legit. I know it's you die when you like they do something to you that like puts you in a tree seed.
Ooh, yeah, I would have loved to have done that. I think that would have been like a really good tribute to her just because she was really into that kind of thing. But it's too late now. I have mine planned. A plain wooden box dressed in white shalwar kameez. I don't know
Let
if I
us
said
know
that
if we're
right.
mispronouncing that.
Wrapped in white fabric, basically a traditional Islamic way. Okay.
Okay.
Paco has been planning a minute. Shorts and writing.
I'm also like very tempted to go out. Like, have you guys seen American Horror Story?
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you seen Coven?
Yes.
So when Myrtle dies at the end,
Mm-hmm.
I very much when I picture my death, that's what I picture.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Humble and beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
I want everyone wearing blue. Don't let my baby daddy speak. Bury me with a Pepsi. I'm starring this because this is so funny. That is so funny. Don't let my baby daddy speak. Bury me with a Pepsi.
See, the reason I have my rule about people talking fake ass shit. So my cousin passed away a little bit while ago, and his baby mama, who had not been seen when he was in the hospital, like legit couldn't find her, didn't care when he died. Mm-hmm. Went to the funeral, got up there and was saying, if I could make a tearway to heaven out of my tears, I would get you and bring you back. I was like, my aunt is better than me. My aunt had her she got to sit up front with my aunt, and I was like, better than me? And my cousin's better than me? Because if that was my mama that hoe was next to, we'd be fighting.
You should have got up and been like, she doesn't even go here. I'm old, but I pray and wish you all long lives. Thank you, Riley. I would like to make preps beforehand because my grandmother's clothes had holes in them. Oh wow, because no one prepared for it, even though they knew she was dying. So I'm definitely going to invest in mine. Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that has made you think about it and prepare for it. Yeah, that's great. I told Christine I don't want a funeral. It's a waste of money. That's also, one way of thinking about it. I know there are people that would prefer to get cremated just because it's cheaper. And like the kids or whatever get to have more money to use for stuff. Yeah.
My mom wants to be cremated, but she wants to be like pushed into the ocean so she like travel one last.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Also, hi, Jen. Hi, Jen. Hello, Jen. Donate your body to science, then Jen. Free funeral and beneficials. Yeah.
See, I don't want to do that because I don't know if I'm coming back. I might come back.
I might come back. Oh my gosh.
I always said if the drama at my funeral's good, I'm coming back for it.
Oh my gosh. You're gonna sit in the funeral just like Wallace did and watch everybody.
No, I don't know it's not possible, but I would love. I think it's so funny if we're at the funeral and then all of a sudden, like you're laying in the funeral thing and you're like, just get up.
Not the Vampire Diaries.
I watched that. I gotta talk about that. We'll show later. Me and my brother said if we could take anything from that show, it's the way that you just snap people's neck to end a conversation.
Yes. I was watching the originals earlier today, and I don't know what they were talking about, but Klaus was just like, psh, and he just talked to the guy. I was like, all right, guess we're done with that conversation.
I said, me and my brother would be doing that to each other left and right if we were vampires like that.
Same. I love that. That's the kind of thing I would want to be done. Hello, Pat. Hello, everyone. Hello, Jen. Right? I want to be cremated. I don't like insects and crawling things.
Same.
That's a good point. Valid point. Exactly, Paco. I don't want him lying about how he loves me.
Exactly. Because I got enough hoes lying about me in life. I don't need them lying about me in death.
Paco gonna pull a Wallace, right? If you donate to science, you might be one of those dead bodies they put on display and travel the world. Oh my gosh, people be staring.
Yeah, no, I don't need that.
Yikes.
That's giving very. What did Kanye do? Kanye West got a hologram of Khloe Kardashian's dead father.
He did?
Yeah, and it wasn't like a deceased version. It was like the dad of he was still alive, and he was to say stuff to her, and the hologram said, "You married a good man." It's so creepy.
What the heck?
So
Donate all my good organs, I guess I meant cremate the rest of my body, and then have a party, get toasted. They had no skin. Ew.
No.
Take the offer to get toasted. Honey, I'm here. Rising up, remember me? Oh my gosh. Bodies exhibit. Yeah, ew, I don't like that. I hate that. Let me see. What other quotes did I highlight? Oh, there's one where it says, I had privilege. I had lived a life of privilege. I had everything I thought I wanted. And now he didn't know how to finish. And now that's all been stripped away, leaving you with only yourself. And that I felt was really deep, because so often we dress ourselves up in our clothes or our looks or things like that, and it's once all that is gone, what do you have left? Who were you? What did you do versus what did you have?
The great philosopher RuPaul. We're all born naked, and the rest is drag.
that part. But yeah, that made me, because it's I feel especially in today's society, everything is so about your image and about what you have and money and having the latest this and the newest that. But it's when you're dead, you don't get to take any of that with you. So it's what is left when you strip away all the stuff that you have and all of your privilege? What is left at the end of that? And I was just ooh, not this existential crisis that I'm having. What else did I highlight? I had different colors for different things. So all of the deep stuff was yellow. So I'm looking for all of my yellow stuff.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So there's one, I think this was Nelson and Wallace that were talking. And Wallace was I never got to grow old. No, Nelson said from his chair. I don't suppose you did. And if you'd like, I can tell you that it's not so great, that all the aches and pains are terrible, and that I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But that'd be a lie. I wouldn't like that. I didn't think you would, Nelson tapped Wallace on the shoulder with his cane. Do you wish you had, grown older? And wasn't that a conundrum? And then he says, not as I was. And I was thinking about who you are now, the version of yourself right now. Would you want to grow old as who you are now? Or do you think that there are changes that you want to make to your personality or your character or whatever, so that when you get older, you're different?
See, I already had a mini midlife crisis when I realized next February I will be 4 years away from 30, and I haven't done shit with my life. So thoughts don't need to play into that. But I've always been even when I was younger, I've always been someone I'm more looking forward to being old. I've always been I'm ready to be grandparent age and just being able to be my own thing and not care about other people's shit. I don't know. I am called a grandparent friend, I've evolved past the mom friend to the grandparent
Oh
friend.
my gosh.
To be fair, my friends started saying that when I went to their house and I asked if they wanted candy out of my bag, and it was a
The
hard.
strawberry
Yeah.
candies. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The other part to that same quote, or not same quote, but it's like a couple of lines down. It says, "What would you do if you could? Like if you could change anything?" He said, "What would you do if you could?" And wasn't that the crux of it? A question where any answer would serve only to show that he'd failed at almost every aspect of his life, and for what? In the end, what had it gotten him? Fancy suits and an impressive office. And that just like goes back to what I was saying earlier, how it's like I feel like our life is so like not our life, but like the way the society is. It's so stuck on having things instead of like doing things. And like I said, when that's all stripped away, like you did all this for what? You did everything that you did to have stuff, and now you don't even have those things anymore in death. So it's like, what was it all for? Also, for anybody that's wondering why I'm not looking at the comments, it's because the comments have stopped.
Oh, let me see if they've stopped on mine.
Huh?
Let me go to mine. I could probably get to them.
Yeah, I can't. The last comment that I can see is the one where Kiana said bodies exhibit. So I cannot see any comments that have come in after that.
I can't scroll. Let me go to YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to do. I'm trying to go to.
I can only see a one that says donate. Oh, wait, I only see body exhibit too.
Mm-hmm. So I see Riley says yes. Amen, RuPaul. I don't want my body to get old. Okay. I'm already old. I'm grateful for having the time I did with loved ones and for gaining some wisdom, but some stuff is painful. I worry about my end. Oh no. How old are you, Riley? Asma, you're never supposed to ask a lady how old she is.
Right? You ask how young.
Kiana says she's embracing getting older. Okay. That's the best way to be. If you carry butterscotch, you got the
It wasn't butter. It was the Mexican equivalent of butterscotch, though.
Oh my
It was
god.
the little strawberry candy.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about, like the.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
As I said, I don't mind getting old. I just don't want to become dependent on someone as I get older. Yeah, I feel that. That's one of the things that I've thought about. Like, it's a whole thing when it comes to like having kids. But one of the things that I've thought about is like, if I don't have kids, who's going to take care of me when I get old? I'm worried. I'm concerned. Because I don't have like nieces or nephews. Like, none of me or my siblings.
Oh god, if I have to rely on my fucking nieces and nephews, I love them. But
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Riley said, or mints. Yeah, you have mints in your bag.
I have some mints.
Of course you do.
But those are for me. Those are for me. Like when I'm going to work, I have like, you don't want to stinky breath at work.
Fair. That's fair. Kiana said, letting my hair gray and doing old people hobbies. Kiana, I'm 23 with gray hair with old people hobbies. What does that say about me?
I forget that Asma's young.
That is so funny. Courtney, I always love butterscotch.
Me too.
It means you're comfortable with yourself. Yeah. I mean, embrace the gray. Embrace it. Kiana. Oh, I was about to say it's not today. It's the 9th, right? Kiana's birthday. Oh, yes, on Wednesday. Happy birthday. Yeah, happy early birthday, Kiana.
Yeah.
I work in a hospital and see old. It sucks. Yeah. Working in like hospitals, nursing homes, things like that, it can be very eye-opening, especially like as a young person. It can be very eye-opening to be like, you know, these are the kind of things that happen to people as they get older. So trying to do things now when you're young to try to, you know, avoid those types of things. It could be a little depressing, just a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to have to depend. I want to be able to take care of myself. Yeah, same. Yes, help and connection with someone when you are older matters. Yeah. Nursing home now, we get comments are jumping. We get together and all live and vibe in a nursing home together. Party time for us. Yep, I'm with it. Who can afford
I don't think the world needs more me's.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't want to have kids.
I agree.
I ain't trying to put the generational trauma. I don't want to spread it more.
100% agree. 100%. That is definitely one of my motivations why, in terms of why I don't have kids. Right. I mean, obviously there are other factors. I don't even
Yeah.
have a person to have kids with. But like my mom's like, oh well, you could just go to like the sperm bank, and I'm like, that's not the way that I
Yeah,
want my kids.
so I feel like there's a couple more extra steps I gotta go
Yeah,
to have
there's some
kids
stuff
than
that
other
needs to
people
be
do.
done. And then
But
like my family has a lot of like issues, and I'm the only one who's going to therapy, and I just started going in like the last couple of weeks. My
well,
mom has no interest in going. She sees no reason to go. Like nobody else seems interested, and I'm like, I cannot bring a child into this chaos that you guys call a family. I'm gonna need y'all to get yourselves together. While I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna need y'all to do your part.
like
So
I don't know, my mom's weird. Always, not weird, but she's always saying she's like, I want you to have 5 kids that don't listen to you. You're gonna have like 5 girls that don't listen. And I was like, there are many reasons that's not gonna happen. But like,
that
like,
is
you know
funny.
how it could happen. I'm like,
Riley said, "Who can afford a nursing home?"
shit.
Facts. Nursing homes are expensive.
And I feel like
So expensive.
only white people do worse nursing homes, really.
Asma says 3 years between us, Paco. Not that big of a difference.
I'm so used to being like the youngest in a group
Mm-hmm.
because like, and so whenever I'm seeing someone younger, I'm like, it's weird. It's weird.
I relate to that. Happy birthday, Kiana. Yeah, it's on the 9th. Okay. Let me just fall asleep one day and they find me later. Oh my gosh. I worry about not having kiddos, so who will take care of me and advocate for me? I see when folks don't, and it's sad. Yeah.
But also,
Exactly.
like that, I get that mentality, but also as someone who was raised with like, I feel like that's not a healthy reason to have kids.
Right, I agree.
Because I feel like a lot of parents go through that. Like a lot of people have kids for that reason, and it's more of like, what can the kid do for us?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's not healthy.
Yep. And that, like I said, that's something that I definitely think about. Is like that is going to be like if I choose not to have children, like that is going to be a consequence of not having kids. Is like not having someone there to like advocate for me, because you never know, when or if you'll be someone who has like, what is it? Is it called like aphasia or something, where you can't like speak, or you can only
Yeah.
say like a couple of words, or if
And
you're paralyzed on one side, or if you're in the hospital, you need someone to like talk to the doctors and things like
and
that.
then
Not having that person there.
just because you have kids doesn't guarantee that you'll have someone. Because I saw on TikTok someone said this, and I think it's true. You don't know you're going to be a good parent until your kid decides to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I don't have kids, is because I'm afraid that I won't be a good parent. Because there are a lot of, no shade to anybody that's on this live, but there are people in the world who think that they just did a bang up job on their kids, and it's like, you were actually a really terrible parent, but nobody will say it to your face, because it's considered mean to tell someone that they didn't do a good job, especially for a mother. To tell a mother that they didn't do a good job.
One of my biggest fears is telling a mother they're not doing a good job with their kids, because I'm like,
But I think we all can name at least one mom who's not a good mom. Like, they're out there. And I don't want to be that mom that just thinks that they're out here like killing the game and just like not absolutely like shitting the bed.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person. I'm scared to be that person.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
no reason for me to think that I would be like this spectacular parent, whereas other people just for some reason convince themselves that they are. And I'm like, honey. That's just, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, that is a worry of mine.
I think my role as Theo is good.
Mm-hmm. And I also think that like I don't have the energy to like raise a kid.
Oh yeah, I don't have
like I barely have energy for my dog.
Yeah. I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience to pick up after myself half the time. Like I cleaned my room today, and that is word is used lightly, because I'm on the second floor of my house. And the amount of times I'm like, okay, I'm gonna clean my room and I'll start. And then by the second time I've gone downstairs, I'm like on the couch, like, okay, I'm not going back up there. I'm not going back up and down.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, any action you take will always have a consequence, whether it's good or bad. There's always going to be a reaction to any action. So unfortunately, the potential reaction to not having kids is that you don't have someone there to like advocate for you if you need them. So it's just, one of those things that I am trying to come to like, be at peace with if that ends up being the outcome of my life. But yeah, it's definitely something that I think about in the back of my mind for sure, Courtney. Happy early birthday, Kiana.
Happy early birthday, Kiana. You better party.
Oh, the comments just jumped. Where was I?
I am at okay. What was the last thing you saw?
If you do, what'd you say?
What was the last one you saw?
Where Rally said happy birthday to Kiana.
Okay, so if you do not think you should have kids, then I say don't. Never let people tell you what you should do.
Agree.
Exactly. And then Audrey is saying, I don't like that I'm now 34 because I'm not done being a mom and you're considered a generic pregnancy at 35.
Yeah.
So that scares me, but other than that. I mean, who's telling, like, it's the man that's telling you that.
That is true. I don't know like the science behind it. Like I've never gotten that deep into it, but I know, like she said, once you get to 35, they consider you geriatric when it comes to like having kids.
I mean, my mom had me, she's 69 now, and I'm 25, so calculator. She gonna beat my ass because I said her real age here. So my mom had me at 44, and she had my younger brother a year later.
That's awesome. Good for her.
And also, I found this out a little bit ago, like during the pandemic, when like random info on TikTok was like just spirals. Mm-hmm. How much of like our systems we have for pregnancy and stuff like that, and the way that pregnancies are done, is because a man. Like if you go back in time, it's to make it easier for the male doctors and stuff like that. Like I heard a reason women that people will give birth on their back is because it's not as healthy as what it should be, because it's like the men kind of doing it, like going. It's like the research I did.
Interesting.
Like it was a man who decided that you should have your back for that, a male doctor.
That makes sense. Very interesting. Let me see. Rally said, I was not a wanted child. Every child should be wanted, and if someone prepares for it, even better. I agree.
I agree with that, but I'm also agree with the fact that like accidents happen, and sometimes the best act, like as someone whose like friend just had a baby, was not planned, but like that's still like her joy and light. Irritating child. I love him, but he's 2 years old now and running a mess everywhere. But I love him.
I hate that people push other people to have kids. It's not your body and it's not your life.
Say it again for the government. For the federal agents listening. Say it again.
Love that. Many people would do well not to procreate. Agree. But those are the ones that do.
See, I agree. I try my hardest not to judge parents, Rally, but sometimes you got to. Sometimes when you are working and you see a little baby crying on the floor, like 3 years old, younger than 3, 2, on the floor crying, and the mom's trying to get the baby to stop crying but won't pick up the baby because she has 2 beers in her hand, I can judge. And it's not even 10 o'clock yet.
Terrible. People will fight for the rights of a child even if it's not wanted. They will not fight for the parent. That's true. And then people who would be amazing parents who can't conceive have to spend millions to conceive. Yes. Yeah. I advocate more for people not having children. I actually wanted them.
And that's good that you wanted them and you were able to have them. Or if you have them or you can't, I don't know your situation. So
yeah. But families are problematic, especially when you're older. You ain't got to tell me. I am learning that.
Generational trauma is going to be beating these bitches up.
Well, now, to be fair, every mom thinks they're a bad mom. It's part of the deal, mom guilt and all. There are some people that think that they are killing the game.
And there's mom guilt, and then there's delusional.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people. I don't know. I from what I've heard, it's like the younger stages, like being like a new mom, is where the mom guilt kicks in. And I think the delusional happens when they're like, my kids are good, even though they're out, I don't know, doing shit they shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm. I think like mom guilt is very common, especially for like newer moms. Like if you only had like this is your first kid, like you're scared because you don't want to do anything wrong. But like you said, once you've had like 3 or 4, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. And it's like you're ruining all of these children. Please stop having kids.
Your kid is doing crack.
Not crack.
Your kid is homeless.
Oh my god.
And you're telling me that I'm not mature. Okay. How's your son house hopping right now?
House hopping.
You don't have a job.
But yeah, there are definitely some moms that they're delusional. I think is a good word, and I wonder sometimes too, like some of those moms that like think that they're like just got it all under control. I wonder if that's them. What's the word? Like overcompensating, like trying to make it seem like it when really deep down they know that they suck. I've always wondered that.
And dads are just to blame. We're not blaming everything on the mother. Dads are just to blame. Sometimes even more so. Most of the time, even more so.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're not. I'm not saying everything's the mom's fault because they do a fair share of fucking up the kid.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times, in my experience, from what I've seen, oftentimes it is the dad that is the bigger issue, and the mom is like doing the best they can. Mm-hmm. And they kind of use that as like an excuse, like, oh, well, I did my best. And it's like, and that's fine. Like you did do your best. And I'm glad that you were able to do what you could do given your circumstances. But doing your best doesn't always mean that you did a great job. Like those are two separate things. Sometimes, and people think that because they did the best, they did an excellent job. And it's like, nope, those are two different things.
Mm-hmm. And like, I get it. You did your best. And I understand that. And yes, like, just admit what you did.
Yep.
That is the thing for me. Admit, like, I'm not trying to blame everything on. Okay, we're getting personal. That's not good. I'll put that back in the box.
Negative box. Let me see. Yes, and that child would be so blessed to have parents that really want them and are ready. Agree. You do the best with the information and abilities you have, but the choice should always be yours and not come from other people. 100%. As parents, we are all just winging it. Honestly, yeah, that's so true. That is so true.
A little more. I feel like people are like it kind of goes back to your thing about image. Is like people don't want to be seen as struggling or needing help, and it's like it takes a village to raise a child, and I feel like people don't want to ask for help, and that's a big issue where it lands.
I agree. And I think that most parents are winging it, and there isn't really like a handbook for it. But I think that you also have to be like honest, and some parents are not honest about how well they're doing. That's the issue. It's not that they're doing a bad job necessarily. It's that they're deluding themselves into thinking that they're doing a good job when they're not. That's really what the bigger issue is. You can be my mom. Really? I try not to think about it too much because it pisses me off. But seriously, that is needed too when people can't have kids, being there for kids who don't have people or even grown people that need found family. Yep. I agree. I totally agree.
You know, I always say this thing because people always say blood is thicker than water. They always throw that statement around. But you know what the full quote is? The full quote is the blood of the coven is thicker than the water of the womb.
Huh. Okay.
So that's like
I've never heard that full thing before.
It's like saying your chosen family bonds might be stronger than like your actual relationship, family relationship bonds. And I'm like,
I totally get that. Even people who are denied adopting for stupid reasons, yeah, and they make adopting complicated, where it's like expensive and you got to go through all these different things.
Some of these people be getting these kids just for the money.
That is also true.
Because that's a whole other topic of our adoption shit in America. That's a whole other big can of worms.
Yep. I do think that kids are a blessing and don't come with manuals. I just wish people tried their best, and some do not. Facts.
I'm turning.
My mom had me at 40. Oh, nice. Huh?
When I said when I'm turning my head like this, I'm looking at my phone at the comments.
Oh. Kiana's mom had her at 40. That's awesome.
Yep.
True. I try not to judge parents. It's hardest job, and it can be complicated because some really are doing their best and get judged hard. Oh, that's a whole subject in and of itself. Kids are a burden to me. I love that she just comes out and says it. I love that for her. Kids are a burden to me. Once you have them, they are not the main priority, and your life is an afterthought. I don't want that. I want to live freely without anything I can prevent holding me back.
Yeah, and that's good. Good for you. Good.
I love that she said that out loud. I love that for her. I didn't mean to come off harsh on people who have kids later in life. That's fine. I don't judge at all. It's just medically, that's how you're considered. Yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't. I wasn't saying that for that reason, Audrey. I was saying that like even though they're saying like it could happen, it's not. It's not done.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, or at least maybe I shouldn't say I think that, but I hope that that will change because I think, especially with millennials, more millennials are having kids like later in life.
Well, I mean,
so I think that they're probably going to change that.
With the way that our world is going, shit, we just entered global burning. Like,
not global burning. Huh. With the state of the world, I embrace not having kids wholly, but that don't mean my heart's not broken. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, if it happens, then deal with it and do what's best for you. However, if you have not had them and know you don't want them or not sure, then don't do it. Protect yourself. Yeah, I agree with that. I wish more people understood that. I hear that Courtney, like my friends, 18 to 26-year-olds are all getting married and having kids straight away. And I'm just like, you barely started living yourself. Of course, I don't judge, but definitely not for me. I agree. I agree. Generational trauma, go burr. Hugs Courtney. That reminds me that I need to do that infertility video and like what to say and what not to say to people struggling with infertility. Yeah, you should do it because I like the first video that you did, Audrey. You should do a follow-up to that. We're not going to even get into daddy issues.
Nope. Nope.
Daddy issues is my middle name. Oh my gosh, Aswa. What even took us all to this topic?
We're talking about what like what's left after us, I guess, kind of.
Oh yeah. Like, what do you have? Because everything's built on like image and possessions and having stuff and material things. And what do you have left when all of that is gone? Like when you die, you don't have those things. You can't take them with you. What is left? Like, what is your reputation? Who were you? What did you do? All of that. Yeah. Audrey said getting old. Yeah, I've heard the full quote in Chosen Family Over Blood. Any day, her day. Yeah, I've never heard that full quote before. That's the first time I've heard that before. There was something that you said, Paco. I can't remember what it was. Something that you said earlier that reminded me of something in this book. I'm trying to see if I can find.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know what it is. So before I say what it was, right before that, there's a part where it says, a life built upon inconsequential things made important simply because he desired them to be. And I thought that was an interesting point because there are a lot of things that we, as like a society, like collectively put a lot of value into that really isn't important or isn't valuable in the grand scheme of things, but because for some reason, like fashion, for example, like fashion is this thing that really means absolutely nothing, but holds so much value and it's like an industry that's very luxurious and expensive. But regardless whether your jeans came from Walmart or whether they came from Gucci, like they're still jeans. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's stuff like that where it's like we put a lot of value into things that don't really need that much value or shouldn't have that much value versus things like global warming and climate control. Like those are things that are actually like very important that we don't put the same kind of, you know, effort or value into. So I just thought that quote was really interesting for that point. But right after that, it says it's harder to convince someone of what they need versus what they want. We often ignore the truth because we don't like what it shows us. And that is one of my favorite quotes in this book. Because I was like, ain't that the truth?
Lead a horse to water. Yeah. Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh, I got some horror stories.
I was like, that hit. Sometimes it's hard to be convinced because you don't want to know the truth. Just like, what is that expression? You can't handle the truth. Like, sometimes that's true.
Sometimes I'll be like, it would be great to be stupid.
Ignorance is bliss, where 'tis folly to be wise.
I be watching people on TikTok and stuff, or like, it must be like I used to say this about HP fans, like the ones that are very loud about it on even TikTok. It must be so easy to not worry about like shit like that Or like, it must be so easy to not worry about. Like, it's being, what is it called? What's that saying? It says, not knowing is bliss, but it's another word for not knowing. You can't think about it.
Ignorance. The ignorance is bliss, where it's folly to be wise. That's one of my favorite quotes of all time because it's so true. Audrey said there's no follow-up to our fertility journey so far. I need to call the doctors over there. Once I have updates for our situation, I'll do another video for sure. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Hope is good news. Agree. What is your channel name so I can root for you? Yeah, drop the channel link, Audrey.
You've got to drop the channel link. I don't think they could do links in the chat.
Let me see if I can find it. There we go.
That's good right there. Asthma dropping bars.
That is her at.
There you go. Sometimes we don't need to know everything because not all truths lead to closure.
Ooh, big facts.
Just drop the mic right there, Asthma. That hit.
Let me see. Where did I leave off? She said it's her username, made a video call. Yeah. I dropped her handle, so you guys should be able to see it from there. But yes, that part, Audrey. I mean, that part, Asthma. 100% agree with that. It's hard, though, because I think that as just human nature is curiosity, and so we often feel like we need to have answers to things. Like, I'm guilty of that myself. We feel like we need to have answers. So it's hard to be satisfied with not knowing everything. But you're right. You're right.
I had to talk with my dad recently, and sometimes things aren't meant for you to understand. Because I think we were talking about like non-binary people, and he was just so confused. And I was trying to explain it to him, and at that point I was like, but why do you need to understand it? Just be respectful. And it's just other things, like certain things, like, I
agree. And I think that's just a hard concept for us as humans to like come to terms with, because that's just the nature of how we are. We're just very curious beings, which can be annoying. And it also can be like dangerous in some aspects. Being as curious as we are. Yep. That's what Audrey just said. Let me see. You can come here and say there's possibility that you might not have a good grade with all the wise things you've been saying. If you don't get a good grade at your school, you can come over to America and give us that same paper. We'll probably give you a good grade. But I think the last quote that I have was it was the manager talking to Wallace about Hugo, and they were talking about Hugo's decision to be the ferryman or whatever. And he says, I hope you could tell the difference between being protective versus doubting someone you call a friend. And I was like, ooh, I think he just tried to comfort all of us.
He just did right there.
Because I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Let me check myself. Because I think that is a fine line between wanting to be protective of someone you love, but also like not trusting their judgment, which says a lot about how you view this person or what you think of their, intelligence or their judgment. And it's like sometimes you gotta, take a step back and be like, this is a grown person. They can make their own decisions. And it's something that hit for me a lot, because I feel like that is something that I've been trying to get my mom to understand, is that some adults, you have to just let them be adults. You can't try to protect them all the time. Like, you can be there to help them if they make a mistake, but trying to like, be there and micromanage, this adult person's life, you gotta let go. You gotta take a step back. You gotta let them be who they are and trust that they can navigate life on their own. And I feel like just as a parent in general, that can be something that's difficult to do. Let's see. Children are a burden is wise to you.
That's bars right there.
That was funny when she said that. I'm like, okay, say the quiet part out loud. It's okay. Curiosity.
Yeah, no one said you were lying, right, Asma? Huh? No one disagreed with you, Asma, on that. When you said that, no one said, hey.
Right. We were just like, oh, okay, she said that out loud. Let me see. Stop downgrading what you say. You standing your ground and advocating for yourself. That is very wise. Please be gentle with yourself and believe in yourself because we all here do.
Not
Agree.
not Audrey saying that.
Uh-huh.
Audrey, take your own advice.
True. Also true.
Because of all people that say that
Jen said curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Oh. I have not heard that last part before. That's new.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. But yeah, those are all the topics, the questions, the quotes.
I have a question.
Did you have any other questions
Yeah,
that you
I
wanted to
could
add?
like wrap up kind of.
Oh yeah, I do have one more. Just
Okay.
it's not a question,
Okay.
but just that.
It's a good wrap up question. My first question. Here is my books that you would recommend based off this, or that's got a vibe that you would think.
I don't think that I have any books that are of a similar vibe to this, or at least none that I can think of off the top of my head. This is also like a contemporary, like fiction story. And I don't read a ton of contemporary fiction. I read mostly like rom-coms, mystery, thriller, suspense, YA, like stuff like that. I don't read a whole lot of contemporary. So it's hard for me to think of another book that I've read that's like similar to this or as like what's the word I'm looking for? Introspective, retrospective. I don't know which word is the right word, but there aren't any that come to mind for me. But I'm curious if anybody else has any recommendations. I feel like Jen would have recommendations.
Jen, were you? I don't even think Jen read the book though.
She might not have, but I feel like she reads books that are like deep like this. So I wouldn't be surprised if she has Rex. As I said, I love when the manager said that if you love someone, trust the decision. It might not be your decision, but that's their choice, and we should respect it. Agree, 100%.
This also goes with one of my favorite quotes of all time. Mind your goddamn business.
I mean, yes.
It's not in the book, but this is very much mind your business. Stop worrying about what other people are doing and mind your business.
Agreed.
Not a lot of people do that. That's why we got people calling the cops on stupid people because people don't know how to mind their own goddamn business. If it doesn't involve you, keep walking.
I agree. I support that. Audrey said, I have no idea what you're talking about, Paco.
Yeah, you do.
Audrey, you are a married person. Stop making me fall in love with you. Courtney said, what is your next group read? I don't know. What should our next group read be? I have so many books on my TBR.
If I'm down to do more books.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I can pick a book. What kind of vibe are you going for?
I like the deep introspective type of book, but also like I love Blood Debt, so like that was a vibe.
Okay. So if you don't have I'm going to do a book I've already read before, so I don't have to worry about reading it. I can hear the discussion. Trying to think, or a book I want to read.
If anybody else in the comments has suggestions, like start throwing some stuff out and see if anybody throws out something that's on my TBR, I'll be like, let's do it.
I think if you want a deep book.
Jen said she read this book a long time ago, but she doesn't have any similar Rex.
You failed us, Jen.
Rally to the Midnight Library. Okay.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I like that. Let's do something lighthearted this time.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Let me think.
Audrey, just stop it. To be fair, my hubby keeps saying the same thing to me as well. Well, that's good. We want him to say that. That's ideal.
Okay, lighthearted read.
Mind your biscuits and everything will be gravy. I have not heard this. So many expressions that I'm learning.
You know what? Let's do another. People could say this is a cozy fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do. I don't think you've read it yet. Have you read? What's it called? Shit. Jen, you're in chat. What's the popular cozy fantasy book with?
Talk about Legends and Lattes.
Yeah, let's do. Is that on your TBR?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm trying to think of I was like kind of cozy vibes. Let's see. You like action too, so let me look.
I like magic. I like drama. I like mystery.
You like romance.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, let me go to Goodreads.
My sis says that to people all the time. Yeah, I've never heard that before, Rally. That's funny.
to Goodreads.
Kiana said maybe A Man Called Ove because it deals with grief, grumpy character, and found family. I don't know what that book is about, but I've definitely heard of it. And I think it's also a movie, maybe. I think it's a movie or something like that.
I'm going to Goodreads.
Aspen said, most recently I read This Green and Pleasant Land by Aisha Malik, and it had similar themes of grief, bereavement without the supernatural aspect, but based on Muslim family. Okay. Should we do something lighthearted this time? Yeah. Nothing too emotional, Courtney said. I do not know what's on your TBR.
Ooh, okay, here's one. This one's on my TBR. It's a fantasy, and it's an action-packed fantasy. I've heard really good things about it. Sing Me to Sleep.
Oh, I think I want to think that Brandy maybe is reading that for her thing. Oh, okay. I don't know what it's about, but
that's the siren one. I know.
Oh, okay. Is that the one that you showed me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's the one. We could do Yellowface.
Oh,
is that on your list?
Yellowface might be good.
I'm down for Yellowface. It's supposed to be a funny book, and it's short.
I'm trying to see what's on my list. Have you read Ace of Spades?
Is that which one? That's the one with the black kids on the cover?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've read that.
Was it good?
Good, but you need to be mentally prepared for that one.
Oh, okay.
The ER is in that book.
Okay.
The hard R.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd be prepared if you're gonna read that one. You gotta. We can do. Let's go, Gaete. So needy, dog. Okay. Shut up, irritating little brat.
I think that's the only book that I have on my TBR for the year. I mean, like not in general, not my whole TBR, but just my TBR for 2023. I think that's the only book that I have on my list that will be like an interesting discussion book.
Which one?
Ace of Spades.
I mean, I've already read it, so if you want to do it, I could be here for it.
What do you guys in the comments think? Maybe I should do a poll. Jen always does polls. Let me see if I can figure out how to do one.
Jen, how we do a poll?
I don't know how to do it.
I've never done a poll either, so I don't know. But books that are like this, that are kind of deal with similar themes of like death and like kind of love and death almost.
Mm-hmm.
Belladonna, which is a good one.
Oh.
That's the gothic horror fantasy that a girl falls in love with death.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cemetery Boys also.
Okay. I haven't seen Belladonna around. I've been kind of curious about it.
It's good. What do you want?
What was the third book you said? Yellowface. What was the other one that you said?
Sing Me to Sleep.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot that the StreamYard just cut off the comments, so all I see is bodies exhibited.
Let's see what everyone says. Oh, somebody put 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I would not be opposed to that.
I kind of am against reading books by that author.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
That's just a me thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down for Yellowface to Sing Me to Sleep, so either of these two.
Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I've heard of that, but I don't know what it's about. Oh, okay. Ove is a similar book.
Let me go. I'm gonna get the books, the 3 books. I have the 3 books, and I'll go over their descriptions for everybody, so that they could see more of what they. Ooh. Oh, I haven't gotten up in a minute.
Actually, the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches was a fantastic book. I read that last October. It was amazing. Amazing. Yes, Yellowface is on. Okay. Who said that? Oh, Courtney said she just read Yellowface. She did this. Oh, she did the. Okay, I knew she was reading that book because I remember seeing it somewhere, like on my homepage or whatever. But okay, I didn't know the discussion was tonight.
Oh, okay. They're not crossing into these.
What genre is everyone thinking? Ace of Spades or Yellow Face? In the click. Is Ace of Spades adult or YA? It's YA, I'm pretty sure.
YA. So 2 of these books are YA, 1 is adult. So, okay. So we got Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, the great, the legend R.F. Kuang.
Your about to say your camera's off, but it's on now.
So, white lies, dark humor, deadly consequences. Best-selling sensation Juniper Song is not who she says she is. She didn't write the book she claims to she wrote, and she is most certainly not Asian American. Is the chilling... Oh, that's just a description. That's not the description. That's just like a blurb. So author June Hayward and Athena Liu were supposed to be twin rising stars, but Athena's a literary darling. June Hayward is a literally nobody who wants stories about basic white girls, June thinks. So when June witnesses Athena's death in a freak accident, she acts on impulse and she steals Athena's just finished masterpiece, an experimental novel about the using contributions of Chinese labor during World War I. So what if June edits Athena's novel and sends it to her agent as her own work? So what if she lets her new publisher rebrand her as Juniper Song, complete with an ambiguously ethnic author photo, not playing Ariana Grande? Doesn't this piece of history deserve to be told, whoever the teller? That's what June claims, and the New York Times bestseller list seems to agree. But June can't get away from Athena's shadow, and emerging evidence threatens to bring June's stolen success down around her. As June races to protect her secrets, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. While it's totally immersive first-person voice, Yellowface grapples with questions of diversity, racism, and cultural appropriation, as well as the terrifying alienation of social media. R.F. Kuang's novel is timely, razor-sharp, and edibly readable. So, that's adult book. Ace of Spades. Beautiful cover. While 2 Nevis Private Academy students, Devon Richards and Chiomara Abeyo, are selected to be part of the elite school's senior perfects, it looks like their year is off to an amazing start. After all, not only does it look great on college applications, but it officially puts them in the running for valedictorian, too. Shortly after the announcement is made, though, someone who goes by Aces begins sending anonymous text messages to reveal secrets about the two of them that turns their lives upside down and threatens every aspect of their carefully planned future. As Aces shows no signs of stopping, what seems like a sick prank quickly turns into a dangerous game, while all the cards stack against them. Can Devon and Chiomara stop Aces before things become incredibly deadly? With a heart-pounding suspense and irrelevant social commentary comes a highly octane thriller from the debut novel of Fiara Abike Imaide. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. And then last, Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burnton. This is the UK cover. Sorisi Sorka survives on secrets. As the last sirens of her kingdom, she can sing any man to an early grave mood. But her very existence is illegal, and if her true identity were discovered, it would be her life on the line. By day, Sorta disguises herself as a fae, pretending to be the perfect soldier in training. By night, she satisfies her dark urges, working as an assassin for dangerous mercenaries. After all the while, she keeps the biggest secret of all, that she is not always in control of her siren power or her desire to kill. Then a blackmailer threatens her sister, and Soris's investigation takes her to the royal palace and her most dangerous job yet, personal bodyguard to the crown prince. Sora expects to despise the prince, but he is kind, thoughtful, charming, and she finds herself incredibly drawn to him until he tasks her with investigating a killer plaguing the kingdom. The problem, the killer, is Sarisa. Trapped by her deadly double life, Sarisa can't leave the palace until she saves her sister, but who will save her from herself?
They all sound really good.
Yeah. Who's winning the poll?
It looks like Yellowface is the winner of the poll.
Okay.
So it looks like we'll be reading Yellowface. Probably not for August, because there's a lot going on for August with all the readathons.
We could do
September.
Yeah, we could do a September readathon. Not readathon, but like December, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we'll read Yellowface for September, and then we'll have the discussion in October.
Hey.
I'm still going to be reading Ace of Spades. So if anybody
I'm excited to hear what you think. And you can message me. I read it, so you can message me about reactions and stuff.
Of course I will. But if anybody, whoever voted for Ace of Spades, if you still want to read it, I will be reading it regardless because I'm reading it for the Buzzword-a-thon. That's the book that I'm reading for that for September. Mm-hmm. So I'm reading it regardless if anybody wants to join me. But we will do Yellowface as like a group. So I'll create channels in the Discord for both. And I'm reading both of those books for September.
I think I'm reading this. I might be reading this in October, if anybody hasn't. So keep an eye out because I have something coming in October.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it. That's the talk, guys. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with us, reading with us, chatting with us, talking to us in the Discord. It's actually been the buzzword for September, Courtney, is a game word. So like win, lose, like I'm doing spade because it's like a card game.
And you do ace too. Ace also works. Ace works as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I read ace already, so I can't use it again. But that's what
I don't know how that works, but Riton works.
Yeah. Ace of spade, like I'm double covered on that one. I was gonna do the inheritance games, but then I decided not to. I'm still going to read that book, just not yet.
Yeah, I feel like this one. I haven't read the inheritance games, but I feel like this you'll like this one. Mm-hmm. It's good.
Maybe I'll do that as a group read next year. I don't want to start any new series. At least I'm trying not to start any new series for the rest of the year. If anything, I'll try to finish series that I'm already doing, but I don't want to start anything new until next year. That's the goal. We'll see how much I see that.
What I do, so I do in December, my December picks are all sequels. I call it my it's just my sequel month. I continue all the series. I try to knock out as many series as I can. Nice. I've done it for like 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. So
smart, very smart. Yes, Riley, I am reading It Starts With Us. Let me see. Right now, I'm reading Seven Faceless Saints, and then
how is your magical readathon going?
It's going good. I'm on my 4th book, 4 out of 9. I have 10 altogether because I'm also doing the full moon readathon. Yeah. But that 10th book is just for full moon and not for the magical readathon. Mm-hmm. So for the magical readathon, it's just 9. I'm on book number 4 out of the 9.
I am
on Seven Faceless Saints right now. And then the next book that I'm reading after this rally is It Starts With Us.
I am currently reading. This is going to be, when I knock this out later today, this will be the 3rd book for the readathon knocked out. And then I will be doing Damned If You Do, which is another book for it, and also my book club. But I will be reading Fourth Wing eventually after that.
Yay!
I'm excited.
So excited. But yeah, I plan on starting It Starts With Us this week, Rally. I don't know exactly what day. It depends on when I finish Seven Faceless Saints. But whenever I finish that, I'm going to move on to It Starts With Us. So I will create something in the Discord for that as well, because I know there were people in the Discord that chatted about It Ends With Us. So I'll make one for It Starts With Us. So I'm going to make one for It Starts With Us, Ace of Spades for September, and Yellowface for September.
Asma, are you in my Discord? I know you're in Princesses. Are you in mine? Because I don't know if you put anything in the Magical Readathon tab. I have in there.
Riley says she only has 3 prompts left. That's awesome.
Hey. I know Asma said they've got 3 out of 8 so far.
That's awesome.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, game words is what the buzzword is for September. The buzzword for August is a body part, which is why I'm reading Seven Faceless Saints, because the word for August is a body part. So face.
I'm going to send you something on Discord for a sneak peek of what's coming in October. So I kind of finished it. I got to make sure I spell things right.
Sounds good. Audrey said, trying to finish series 2, but just found out that I started Fool's Assassin and haven't read any other Rob Hobbs book. Yeah. See, that's why I'm trying not to start anything, because I know that I won't finish a series if I started this late in the year. I know that I won't. Ooh. I need to blow this up and make it bigger. I'll have to figure out how to do that, because I can't read it because it's small. But that's just because of my computer. I'll have to look at it later. But I like the background already. It looks good.
I'm excited.
Jen only has 2 Aurelium books left. Plus the
Jen don't count. Jen not human. Jen be eating these they started a freaking almost 400-page book during their sprints yesterday, and then they were finished before the sprints were done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Jen does it.
Wow. Riley said I have 3 callings, 2 side jobs, and the summoning. Oh my gosh.
I only have one calling. I'm a necromancer.
Yeah, I just have the 1 calling. I'm a
And then I'm
dreamwalker.
doing the summoning.
Asthma, for the Discord link, are you asking me or Paco? Who are you asking?
I can send it to you if I think me, because I'm pretty sure she's in your. I know she's in yours.
Yeah. Oh yeah, duh. Of course she wouldn't be talking to me. She's in mine. That was a dumb question. I knew it was multiple trilogies. I just thought it was the first of trilogies, but it's the last one. Yeah. Yep, it'd be like that. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Thank you again. Thank you, Paco, for co-hosting.
Anytime.
Appreciate having you here.
Are you doing sprints this Wednesday? Did you just decide?
I plan to, yes, and I think that I'm going to actually do them this week. I have to work from home for the next 2 weeks because I have medication that I have to have administered for the next 2 weeks, and I can't go into the office. I need to be home to do it. So I definitely plan on sprinting this Wednesday and next Wednesday because I will definitely be home.
Wednesday if you need backup.
Oh, okay. Cool, yeah. So I'll set those up. Hopefully tonight, but I need to actually get out of here soon because I have to go to my mom's house because she helps me with my medication.
Okay.
So I'm going to head over there once I get off of here. But I will try to set those sprints up for this week and next week. I saw that Jen said something. What did Jen say? Nell, I'm not in your Discord. I didn't know you had one. Drop the link. Oh, yeah. I do have one. I'm not super active on it. I'm really only active in it if we are doing like a group read. So like I was active in the Under the Whispering Door channel because we were all reading it together. But the other ones just kind of occasionally get posted in.
Thank you, Asma.
Let me see. Edit, no limit, never. What? I don't know what that is. There we go. Copy. That is the Discord link, or my Discord, if anyone wants to join. And like I said, I'll update the channels to reflect the 3 different books that we talked about. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Thank you again for joining us.
For the crowds. Huh? Do you have anything coming up?
Nope, just my usual Friday videos. Like I said, we're going to do sprints this Wednesday, but outside of that, just my regular Friday video. This Friday's video is going to be a vlog. It's the second part to the vlog that I already did. So like I did the staycation weekend video. Okay. This was like part of that, but I made it separate because if I put that in that video would have been like an hour long. So I made like a separate video. It's like a solo picnic video. So yeah.
I have a vlog coming out this Wednesday. I finally filmed a vlog.
Nice.
And then I have my July haul Friday.
Nice. I saw that you did, was it your wrap up that you posted recently? I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my watch later list.
It was very late when I filmed that, so my mental state is all over the place in that video.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys somewhere around the internet. Bye.
Bye.